Green Arrow Alpha.
Do you mind texting Courtney just to see if she's hello? Hello, young lady.
Oh, hello.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can.
Engineering department needs to be front and center.
You know where I wanted engineering. At least we have an engineer.
Yes, we do. And I got a fresh battery.
Fresh?
Battery.
Can I see that again? That's
impressive.
That's slightly. Did you do some adjustments on there?
No,
to
I
make
just
it
took a new
do-
one out of the box. $9 a piece of best.
I will point out that planning
Green Arrow
staff
Alpha.
is a very effective. Like,
Good evening. It's Thursday, July 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. This is the City of Franklin Plan Commission meeting. Ms. Eck, would you please take the roll?
Mayor Nelson,
Here.
Commissioner Specht is absent, Commissioner Shago, Commissioner Haley,
here.
Commissioner Salus,
Here.
Alderwoman Day, is absent, Commissioner Leon.
Here. Excellent. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record reflect.
I was just going to say that. Let the
Preemptive.
record reflect that Alderwoman Day is present.
6:01.
6:01 or is it
Six-
6:02?
I was 6:01 p.m. Give her the benefit of the doubt. 6:01 p.m. B, approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes from the June 19th meeting. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving into C1, the first of three public hearings. I will read the basic intro, then I'll turn it over to Luke. Minor site plan review standards in Plan Development District, or PDD number 7, major PDD amendment. The City of Franklin proposes to amend the text of the Plan Development District number 7 ordinance to streamline the site plan approval process in the Franklin Industrial Park, PD number 7, by allowing and adding standards for administrative review of minor site plans by Department of City Development staff exclusively. Luke, evening.
Good evening. Yeah, so this is an application, major PDD amendment by, the Department of City Development to, like you said, to streamline minor site plan approval processes in PDD 7 Franklin Industrial Park, if you want to just hit the next. PDD 7's next to PDD 18. They're kind of together as part of a larger development. Right now, currently, minor site plans, so things like widening of garage doors, minor changes to building elevations, maybe moving where a trash enclosure is, that all needs to be approved by the EDC, the Economic Development Commission, no matter, and it requires a full site plan amendment. Whereas if you were in a normal business district or a normal industrial district, this would require a minor site plan amendment that can just be staff approved. We did something similar with PDD 18 a couple of months ago, if you remember. And so we're just kind of suggesting the same thing here to add language into PDD 7 to have standards for what would classify as a minor site plan amendment in those approvals. We're recommending that the standards be a major amendment would be a change of 5% or more of the structure's floor area, or an increase in the off-street parking located on site. So a minor amendment would be any change that does not qualify as a major site plan amendment. So minor amendment would be any change that is less than 5% in a structure's area and no increase in off-street parking. And we are recommending approval.
Excellent. Please read the public hearing notice.
Yep. Notice of public hearing, City of Franklin Plan Commission, hearing date Thursday, July 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Place, the Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, 53132. Applicant, City of Franklin / City Development Department. Property is Franklin Industrial Park, Plan Development District number 7. The proposal is an ordinance to amend Section 15-3.0412 of the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO, Plan Development District Number 7, Franklin Industrial Park, to amend the site plan approval process by providing administrative review for minor site plan amendments without the prerequisite of an additional review and approval by the Economic Development Commission. The language will include standards for what is a minor site plan. Public hearing information. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of Wisconsin state statutes, Section 62.237D2 and Division 15-9.02 of the UDO. A map of the affected property, all application materials, and the proposed ordinance are available at Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall. Public is invited to attend the public hearing and to provide input. The proposed ordinance is subject to revisions following public hearing and the further consideration by the Plan Commission and the Common Council.
Well done, Luke.
Thank you.
It is 6:05 PM. If anybody wishing to speak on this matter and this matter alone, as we will go through all three individually, come up now, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you've got up to 3 minutes, and I am the timekeeper.
I'll take it.
Right? Anybody wishing to speak on this? It is still 6:05. I will close citizen comment period. Is there any questions, comments from Mr. Alderman Salus?
Just a quick question. Is this like why can't we make this amendment like citywide, like minor amendment?
So,
Why do we have to specify this district?
yeah, so that is how it is in normal business districts and normal industrial districts in the city, in the normal UDO. However, there are planned development districts that have their own zoning standards. So they have their own restrictions for what needs approval and things like that. So for example, this PDD 7, when it was established in 1992, said that any improvements need to be approved by the Industrial Development Commission at the time. Now it's the Economic Development Commission. So anytime that anybody wanted to change something with their building or anything like that, it needed that EDC approval because of that zoning standard for that specific planned development district. But if you go to any of those that are zoned LI, any minor changes can be approved by staff.
Thank you.
Yep.
Further comments? Mr. City Attorney?
The staff report states the current code is vague. And I read the proposed amendment, and one of the factors determining whether or not it's a major amendment is an increase in the off-street parking located on site. What's that?
Like if you added parking spaces to the lot, that would be an increase in parking.
How many? 1 or 100?
Any increase. Because then you have to change potentially the landscape plan, things like that, with any increase to the parking.
So current employee picks up 2 other current employees to drive to work every day. That employee who drives is leaving. And so now the other 2 employees are going to park on site. So now there's 1 extra car on site. That makes it a major. It's an increase in parking.
It's when they're proposing to add an actual physical parking space on the site, that would be considered a change to increase in parking because they're approved a certain number of parking spaces based on their approved site plan.
Okay, so that any addition makes it.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Further discussion? Is there a motion, sir? Or ma'am?
Okay.
A motion to recommend approval of an ordinance to amend Plan Development District Number 7 to allow for minor site plan amendments to be approved by city development staff.
So moved.
I second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Now we're going up to C2. Target LLC conditional use request to approve a resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for a conditional use for CarGet LLC, a used car sales and major automotive repair facility upon property located at the northwest corner of West Forest Home Avenue and West Rawson Avenue, tax key number 748-9990-000. Luke, you still have the floor.
Yep. So for any of the commission members or the public that don't know, we used to call these types of applications special uses. With the new UDO adoption, they are now called conditional uses. They have the same standards, things like that. It's just a name change to align with the Wisconsin state statutes. So applications now are now a conditional use. So this is a request to allow for a used car sales and automotive repair facility under the UDO table vehicle related use titles. Those titles are vehicle sales / rental and service and major automotive repair. Both are considered a conditional use in the BG General Business District. So there are there are two definitions in the UDO there's a definition for each of these uses. So I'll just read them out for you guys to understand. Auto sales, rental, and service is defined as an open area other than a street used for the display or sale of new or used automobiles for sale or rental, and where no minor repair work is done, such as the incidental repair of automobiles to be displayed and sold on the premises. And then automotive repair major is engine rebuilding or major reconditioning of worn or damaged motor vehicles or trailers, collision service, including body frame or fender straightening or repair and painting of vehicles. Just to establish the difference between major and minor. So minor automotive repair is actually a permitted use by right within the BG district. So this doesn't require the conditional use permit. And the definition for that is incidental repairs, replacement of parts, and motor service to automobiles, but not including any operations specified under automotive repair major. In the new UDO, there are specific standards for each of those uses. I will show them to you here. I'll just go past here. So these are all the standards that the applicant will have to meet for their auto sales use. For example, all outdoor displays have to be weather improved surface. You can't have any repair bays facing public rights of way or any residential uses or a residential district. So a lot of these will be covered in the site plan review. They're only applying for the use at this point. They have submitted a concept site plan and concept building elevations for the review of the Plan Commission. And there are things that they will have to abide by, especially with drainage. That'll be very important because of chemicals, things like that from major automotive repair. And they have to make sure that it goes to the right things. They are proposing stormwater detention on site. They're proposing approximately a 49 by 49 7,000 square foot building, or 4,900 square foot building, apologies, built out of masonry. This is the concept site plan here. You have a slightly different one in your packets. I didn't realize that at the time, so I will have to talk with the applicant about what they'll have to change their proposal because they have part of their parking in this eastern WEPCO easement.
The magic pointer.
No, that's okay. Wait, I got a mouse.
Pointer suffices.
Yeah, in this
Push back one
very
out for my
clear.
point.
within this WEPCO easement. I saw an email that was forwarded to me that if they wanted to build within the WEPCO easement there, they would need what's called an encroachment permit from the owner of that easement. I was told that they're not proposing to do that at this time, but the applicant can clarify that for you. They're proposing, let's see here, I believe 14 parking stalls for employees and customers, and then around 80 or so 60 display spaces for the used vehicle inventory, 4 repair bays on the north side of the building, which faces a BG district. It's wetland owned by Milwaukee County. Let's see here. And then they also have to abide by a certain level of standards for conditional uses. There's 6 of them. So the first one is ordinance and comprehensive master plan purposes and intent. The proposed used car sales and auto repair facility is consistent with the comprehensive plan as the site is designated as commercial in the 2025 future land use map. No undue adverse impact. We're not anticipating undue adverse impact at this time to adjacent properties as the specific use requirements for car sales and automotive repair in the UDO require specific mitigation, including such as proper drainage, containment of runoff, location of service bays, repair activities being within an enclosed building, and storage of vehicles to be repaired, stored in the building or in an enclosed screened yard. However, the applicant will need to show that the development will abide by these specific use standards in their site plan application to city staff. The compatibility with surrounding development. So the site is zoned BG, General Business District. The zoning to the north is undeveloped land that is owned by Milwaukee County and zoned BG. Property to the west is also zoned BG and is currently occupied by a legal services company. The property to the east across Forest Home Avenue is also zoned BG and currently undeveloped. The property to the northeast is zoned LI and is currently used as an outdoor storage facility. And then the property to the south across Rawson Avenue is zoned P Parks District. Engineering Department, City of Franklin, doesn't have any issues concerning Parks property and the proposed use at this time. There is residential to the southeast across Rawson and Forest Home. The closest residential structure in that direction is approximately 232 feet away from the closest property line. Yep, thank you for pointing it out. I appreciate it. There is dense evergreen plantings on that southeast side there between the structure and the subject property. There's also residential to the northwest, past the oddly configured lot directly to the west. You can kind of see through to the development there. So the closest home being about 200 feet away from that property. Staff recommends that when the applicant submits their landscape plan, that they place most of their plantings between the residential areas and the property, as that would be the most useful. And it's even required with the use standard of major automotive repair at the top there. A buffer yard, as detailed in Article 5, shall be required along lot lines adjacent to any parcel in a residential, commercial, or mixed-use district. There's also a standard that I've circled for you under the major automotive repair, that the maximum allowable number of tow trucks which can be parked at the site shall be determined by the Plan Commission as a condition of approval. They didn't state any desire to park tow trucks there. I'm not sure if the applicant is interested in that or not, but they can answer that for you as well. Adequate public facilities is the next one. Proposed development has access to water facilities from Forest Home Avenue and sanitary sewer facilities from both Rawson and Forest Home. The applicant, again, is also proposing a stormwater detention pond in the northwest corner of the property. Adequate circulation, so this is for traffic on the property. The applicant will need to obtain permits for access to Rawson Avenue from Milwaukee County, since that section of Rawson is owned by Milwaukee County. That's their right-of-way. The applicant is not proposing access to Forest Home Avenue, as that access would need to go through wetlands and would need natural resource special exception processes and mitigation and compensation. The current concept site plan seems to have adequate circulation in the property. However, again, the applicant will also need full site plan approval showing adequate circulation and proper drive widths as is required in Section 5 of the UDO. No destruction of significant features. This is for natural resources. There's currently wetland on the northeast side of the property. It takes up about half of the property. The current concept site plan shows that the improvement to the property will be outside of wetland and wetland buffer areas. And so we took a site visit. No site compliance issues were found, and ultimately, we are recommending approval of this conditional use resolution.
Okay, thank you. And I know there's 2 documents
Yes.
that, well, why don't we read those in after
After?
the hearing, the public hearing? in
Sounds
case
good.
That person may be here tonight, and that way that person could read their own document.
Sounds good.
And so why don't you just do the notice for the public hearing, please?
Okay.
Because I know I've got comments after this. And
This is one here. All right. Notice of public hearing, City of Franklin Plan Commission, hearing date Thursday, July 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Place, the Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin 53132. The applicant is Carget LLC. The property is 0 West Forest Home Avenue, tax key number 748-99990-000. Proposal resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for the approval of a conditional use for Carget LLC, a used car sales and automotive repair facility. Public hearing information. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of Division 15-906E of the UDO for conditional use permits. A map of the affected property, all application materials, and the proposed ordinance are available at the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall. Public is invited to attend the public hearing and to provide input. The proposed resolution is subject to revisions following public hearing and further consideration by the Plan Commission and Common Council.
thank you. It's 6:20 p.m. Public hearing is now open. Anybody wishing to speak on this item and this item alone, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You've got 3 minutes to speak on your point. C2 and only C2. Good evening, sir. You may want to do the first and see if it's working.
Oh, is it not on?
It's on. Is it? There we go. Is it the battery dead?
The green?
Flashing.
The battery might be
Always
dead.
the first person's though.
Here, Luke.
Yeah, just
It's working now. Hello, hello.
get close to it.
Yeah, you just kind of. Sorry.
Okay, my name is Paul Schlecht. I live on 6977 South Woodcrest Court, which is on the west side of North Cape and just off of 117th Street. I'm sure within a couple of 100 feet of the property. One thing that I didn't hear mentioned was anything about lighting associated with the development. That would be a concern for me, and I believe for many of my neighbors, given that there is no such development there at this point. Is there anything in the code that you didn't mention with regards to that?
Yes, after citizen comment or the public hearing's done, then he'll address the questions.
Okay,
But yeah, that's noted for sure.
so there's the lighting. I'm also concerned about the noise that might be associated with it. I don't know that there's any significant noise related to the maintenance or the car sales themselves. But we wouldn't want to see a significant increase in that type of thing. One other question that comes to mind when I listen to the description of the development had to do with, I believe you call it the water retention. There's a basin that they intend to develop there. Given that at least my house and many in the area are all on private wells, that is a big concern. I don't want to see any kind of development that could result in water, contaminated water seeping in to our well water reservoirs within the area. Trying to think, is there anything to do with the hours of operation? Weekends, evenings, all of that type of thing. I'd like to understand what that is all about. So I think that's all that I have at the moment.
Thank you, sir. Anybody wishing to speak on C2 and C2 alone, please come to the podium. Good evening, welcome.
My name is
Hold
Molly.
it down.
Sorry. I hate public speaking, but I feel
You're
passionate.
doing great.
My name is Molly Keller, and I actually live at 7045 South North Cape Road, so very close across the way. I have a lot of the same concerns as my neighbor Paul. Curious about the hours, obviously the lighting. We are on a we have well water as well, so very concerned. I understand that the business would have to create the proper retention pond, but as we know, things break, there are issues, so obviously that would be a major concern to have contaminated water. And I think that is all at this moment.
Good job.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak at this time on this item? Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close the public hearing at 6:24 PM. And if you would like to start, Luke, with some of the responses to that?
So I'll start with lighting standards. So in our site plan applications, they are required to abide. We do have outdoor lighting standards. We measure the lighting by foot candles. And basically we measure to make sure that they are not exceeding the maximum level at their property line, which I believe for commercial districts now is half a foot candle, I believe, is the standard. So any site plan that has something more than that, they would need to revise the lighting to make sure that they are not leaking lighting onto adjacent property. Hours of operation, they are proposing Monday through Saturday. I'm sorry, I skipped over this. Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And they would be closed on Sundays. They're going to have 2 employees, 4 employees, 2 for the sales area and 2 for the auto repair part of the business. Let's see here. The noise standards. So we do have noise ordinances within the city of Franklin that they can't exceed a certain level of noise during business hours. I can't quite remember what the maximum dBA is. I'll look, I think it's 60 or 65, but I'd have to look into it.
Should be 55.
That sounds right to me, 55.
55, and then at night, either it's 10 or 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
It drops down to 45, and
Yep, that sounds right.
member of the rock here, I know they got that memorized.
Yep. Also, all of their sort of, let's see here. So all of their, operations would have to be within the enclosed building. So that should help a little bit with the noise, I would think. That's why that standard's in there. And then as for the stormwater detention, so the reason for the stormwater detention pond is kind of the reason is so that it doesn't leak to other people's property. They make sure that, all of the stormwater that is, being produced on site is drained properly into that stormwater detention pond instead of anywhere else affecting other property. So that's why it'll be a requirement and approval by the city engineer to, make sure that that's incorporated into the site plan and they have a good stormwater management plan. And I think that covered most of everybody, I believe.
So there are 2
Yeah.
emails that were sent in to the city hall that I'd like to please, if you would please read them,
Yep.
and then be made part of the record.
Yep. So the first one is from Elizabeth Wallach. She resides at 11435 West Rawson Avenue. She is sharing her thoughts on the used car repair business that is desiring to be located at the northwest corner of Forest Home and Rawson. She says, to begin, I'm not in favor of this type of business occupying the northwest corner of the intersection of County Trunk BB, West Rawson Avenue, and State Highway 24, Forest Home Avenue for the following reasons. There has been an increase in traffic on Rawson Avenue these past 2 years, and this type of business will contribute to added traffic on Rawson and Forest Home Avenues. Her second point, with added traffic comes more exhaust fumes from vehicles idling at the traffic signals, and this includes all types, 18 wheels, 4 wheels, and 2 wheels. Has the state and county conducted a recent traffic study count on these 2 roads? This would be a good place to start. This third point, this used car repair business will be using a variety of chemicals, solvents, paints, fluids from cars and trucks. These are very combustible, and there are overhead power line towers on the Forest Home right-of-way. I find the closeness to these overhead power line towers a spark away for a business that uses said chemicals daily. The surrounding neighborhood residents will be at risk if this business sets up shop, and let's not even think if the spark causes a disaster for the neighborhood. Next, now I share my thoughts on these overhead power line towers and this proposed business. Is We Energies going to relocate the overhead power line towers or not? Representatives from We Energies is crucial for this project, so all sides, angles, heights, and depths are thoroughly reviewed from a safety lens to safeguard the city of Franklin. It is my desire that the city of Franklin attract a different type of business to this area other than a used car repair business, adding to the already present light industrial businesses. Here is an idea for the community to benefit from this parcel of land, which has been vacant for the 21 years I have lived in my condo. Extend the Franklin Hike and Bike Trail route of the Badger. Extend the trail northeast to Woods and loop it back southwest to the trail by the tennis courts, or are all the community-based benefits going to be centered around the proposed city center on 76th Street and Rawson, where the present Orchard View Shopping Center is located, or the Rock Complex? And this is her final sharing. This also contributes to the devaluing of the residential subdivisions within a 3 to 5 mile radius. The city assessor shared with me that I live in a Class B neighborhood and there was nothing I could do to change that Class B. The reason for the Class B is all the light industrial businesses and the lack of amenities of food shopping, entertainment, medical, financial, as the 76th Street and Rawson corridor offers. At 114th and Rawson, we are lacking it all. A condo just sold in my association this summer for $400,000. I hope my neighborhood doesn't get lowered to a Class C neighborhood. I asked the Planning Commission to do an in-depth review before approving Carget LLC to proceed with their plans. Thank you for reading my concerns. Replies to my email address are welcome regarding this used car repair project. Let me catch my breath.
Like a beverage.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. The second one is from Deborah Wages. She's a nearby homeowner. She didn't, her property address is 7029 South North Cape Road. As a nearby homeowner, I am writing to express strong opposition to the proposed conditional use permit for Carget LLC at 0 West Forest Home Avenue for a used car sales and major automotive repair. This type of development raises serious concerns about its impact on a residential neighborhood, including negative effect on property values. The presence of a used car lot and repair facility will likely reduce neighboring property values and alter the residential character of the area. Light pollution, bright lighting at night that impacts nighttime darkness. Noise and nuisance, auto repair and car sales operations bring significant noise, often at unpredictable hours, which undermines the peaceful enjoyment of our homes. And environmental risks. There are serious risks of oil, coolant, and chemical spills contaminating local soil and storm water runoff systems, potentially affecting local water quality. I urge the Commission to reject this application and preserve the integrity and residential quality of our neighborhood. Deborah and David Wages.
Thank you for that. So I'll speak on this, but I'll probably speak last. If somebody wishes to go first, Commissioner Leon.
Thank you, Mayor. To start, is the applicant present? Okay. Do we have the
Yeah.
can come up? And is it appropriate at this time to have them give a presentation or any added comments
Yeah.
before I get into my questions?
Why don't we have you,
Here,
maybe
let's.
one
hope
or
somebody-
two of you.
Yeah, one or, let's pull up a chair and you can sit at the table. And then just one of those.
Make them comfortable.
Thank you. Yep. And then you can, yeah. There you go.
Good evening, sir. If you could
Good evening.
simply state your name and business address for the record, please.
Yeah, this is Sharat Mahanti, and there is no business address for that location right now.
What about your like normal business
Just
address?
give us any address.
Yeah.
Put it to
Oh.
the record.
So you mean,
Like where you operate your business, like your,
home
where do you operate your business from? Like in general?
Here you
oh,
go.
okay. So it's 1963 Cheshire Drive, Union Grove, Wisconsin, 53182.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Leone, you have the floor.
Before I get to any questions, does the applicant wish to add anything to the presentation or address any of the questions that came up? Otherwise, I can get into my questions.
No, not at this one.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And speak real close into this.
Okay, sure.
Really
I will.
karaoke it.
Okay.
So first question is actually to staff, and if you could go to the map. I looked at the map in the packet. I'm not an engineer, but I don't see a difference. So can you
Oh.
point out what the differences are?
Yeah. So the different,
Open here.
so on the kind of in that southeast corner,
Okay.
you can see there's a little bit of parking there that's within that dashed line of the easement.
Okay.
On here, that is outside of that easement. So that is what we'll need clarification from for.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks again for being here tonight to address questions. I would ask that, obviously there's a couple of neighbors present tonight. If you have the opportunity to discuss some of their concerns with them after the meeting, I think that always goes a long way in having good application, good new development if this goes through. Ms. Wallach's questions. I have two that come from her questions. And the first one, when she asked, and this one might be another question to staff, but maybe the applicant can answer. She asked about traffic studies by either the county or the state. I don't know if they're relevant. I don't know if they'd happen. I think that if so, they probably happen at a later phase, but if we could just address that first question.
Yeah, I looked into it this morning. I just looked at the last time the DOT did average annual daily traffic. It's a common statistic when studying traffic patterns. So at Forest Home, like north of the corner, the AADT, which is what it's called, was about 10,900. And then at Rawson, west of Forest Home, it was about 2,300. And then as you go south, it gets less and less as you get to the residential neighborhood. So that's kind of 2,300 is about equivalent to if you went to 68th Street and south of Drexel there. That's about 2,300 AADT there.
And then any anticipation, maybe the applicant on this, what an increase would look like based on the current traffic patterns? Has that been looked at, or would that be later, or is it even a relevant concern based on the nature of the business?
So I didn't get that, sorry.
So the neighbor is basically asking, is this going to have a significant increase in the traffic in their neighborhood?
No, I don't think so, because the customers come, they will enter into the lot. So I don't think so that much traffic on it.
So to staff, do we think that it's not a concern that there would be a significant increase that would impact?
That'll be something that the engineering department will review in their site plan application.
At a further
At a further
process. Thank you.
phase, yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know if Caitlin wants to speak on that at all, but. Oh, her mic's not on. You can go now.
Is it working now? Okay. Yeah, when the site plan comes for review, we can definitely review that. Obviously, the entrance, as we see, is just off of Rawson Avenue. So I don't see anyone coming, off of Forest Home. I don't see an increase happening on Forest Home Avenue for this development, but we could look further into that when the site plan comes.
Okay, thank you. And then similarly, some of the questions about the chemicals and overhead power lines, the We Energies question, is this relevant? Is there a concern? I think there's probably not, but just want to get on the record if we believe that this will be any concern.
So when I was forwarded some emails between the applicant and the owners of the easements there's one on the western edge as well. Actually, that's not shown here, but We Energies had no issue with them having improvements there with parking and things like that. However, if they do want to go into this WEPCO easement, they will have to apply for what's called an encroachment permit, but it didn't seem like they were opposed in that email. They said it's definitely possible that they could get an encroachment permit to be under those tower wires. So I don't think it's a major concern at this time.
The operations of the business should not cause them to have to move the power lines, correct?
No.
Okay. As someone who traveled this area pretty regularly, there's a business that I travel to a couple times a week. There's not a lot of traffic there, so obviously many of the concerns are to do with light, noise, and traffic. It sounds to me like this should not result in a significant increase and be disruptive to the area. So I'm relatively comfortable with it. Thank you, sir,
Thank you.
gentlemen, for being here tonight. And those are my questions, Mayor.
Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. The majority of my questions will be for a later date when you come back to us with the site plan, but just a couple on what we have in front of us today, just for my understanding of kind of a bigger picture of what your business model looks like. So I generally don't have an issue with this type of business going into that area. My one concern, though, is since there is nothing really around it, it's kind of a area where we don't have a lot of development. Once development starts, generally that spurs other types of development to come in. So we are always looking for, good companies, good product, good businesses that people want to use. So my question is, what are you looking at as kind of the price point for used cars sales? Because, there's variations of used car sale lots, right? There's some that are the things that you're going to get your 16-year-old as their first car because you know what's going to happen to it. So there's those kind of used car sales dealerships, which are fine. But then there are higher end used car dealerships, like for, working professionals, that kind of thing. And I think a business kind of on that model will spur future development where some of the residents may find those types of businesses appealing. So I just kind of want to get an idea of what at other dealerships that you have in the area, what is kind of the price point? What are the types of cars that you typically
So
sell?
that means I have like all kind of from range from 3,000 to 20,000. So we deal with everything.
Okay. And then my other question, going back to your operating, there was nothing in here, and it was brought up before about tow trucks and the limitations on tow trucks that could be on the property. There's nothing in here that talks about towing. Is that something that your business does?
No,
No towing. So we don't
No
have to worry
towing, no,
about a
no.
car getting towed at 2 a.m. or anything like that. Okay, great. And then for the delivery schedule for vehicles and parts, will that follow the same as your operating hours, or will those happen outside of operating hours?
yeah, mainly operating hours only.
Okay, great.
Not-
Those
yeah.
are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haley?
Thank you. Just a couple of things, a little bit of confusion on my part. Your note number 6 on the standards said that no service bay doors fronting on a right-of-way,
hmm
okay? And
Oh, they do have one.
drawings something's wrong with them. They got south and west, but these are both showing as east. And I'm guessing the east is the one with the 4 doors, which is fronting on the Forest Home right-of-way.
No, that one is north. The bottom one is north.
It's on the back side,
Yep.
the north.
Yep. Facing the wetland to the north there.
Okay, we need to clean that up on the plans.
Yep.
But then they've also got a service bay door shown on the front of the property on the south, which is, again, fronting on a street right-of-way.
Yeah, that would have to be
Make
changed.
that go away, or we need to make an exception for that
Yep.
at some point.
Yep.
Okay? You're aware of that.
Yep.
I think it's important that the applicant is aware, I don't know how much research you've done on the site, but this entire building pad is on fill. Okay, over
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
10 years, it's been
Yes.
filled, hopefully it's compacted, to get a good geoengineer out there,
Yes.
okay? And do notice, well, yeah, I'm sure you've seen it, but you're surrounded by wetland to the north and to the east. I'm wondering why we're showing the 30-foot setback, but not the 20.
Because that doesn't exist anymore in the new UDO. It's 30-foot setback for new commercial development. 30-foot buffer.
Okay, and they're going to be able to do that, and the parking lot is right up against that buffer line. Okay, I would also strongly encourage that you work with engineering, planning staff, and
Yes.
talk to Milwaukee County with the trail issue. The city's trail currently ends right on the south side of Rawson Avenue. And I know that the goal was always to extend that, make connections with ultimately the county's Oak Leaf Trail. I believe Milwaukee County Highway Department has a suggestion as they rebuild Forest Home Avenue to put either a bike lane, probably on the south side, or potentially the west side. Know where that is so that that can be accommodated. It may make sense that it wants to cut across the corner of your property or something like that. But what we don't want to do is have a dead end trail that can never be connected to anything. So be thinking about that as you go through your planning.
You said that was a Milwaukee County trail, correct? Or did you say
The
city?
Franklin Trail, but it's Milwaukee
Energy.
County's bike plan shows that all being connected. So,
Look at their plan.
so the city's trail dead ends at Ken Wendell Park.
Yep,
Right
exactly.
there. And the intention was that it would somehow be extended along Forest Home, whether
Okay.
that's in the median or one side or the other.
Okay.
But those plans have also been incorporated into Milwaukee County Highway Department.
Okay.
Okay, so they've been thinking, in fact, I think they've already got it planned where it's going to be when they rebuild Forest Home.
Okay.
But let's integrate that and not
Yep.
miss that opportunity.
Correct.
I think that's about all I got.
Um,
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, and I was going to comment on Commissioner Leon's comment on the traffic. I don't know if any traffic study is going to be accurate 3 months prior to right now and maybe 3 months after because of the Highway 100 Loomis Road construction.
Yeah.
All the trash trucks are coming down Forest Home now to avoid
Sure.
Loomis Road and that big buildup there. So I think any traffic study information is going to have to be done at a later date.
Sure.
But it's extremely busy, and I think these folks can probably reinforce that. I was going to ask, what percentage of your revenue do you think is repair work versus new car and used car sales? Is most of the repair work going to be on the cars that you're buying at auction and acquiring? Is it, or are you going to be soliciting repair work for your facility too?
Yeah, for my facility as well, for the public as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you're doing at your current operation?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, Alderman Sluse?
Just a clarification, with the comments mentioned about the contamination. I'm assuming like the bays where they are fixing the car will have a drain or catch basin, and that will go to the sanitary system. So the idea that like, oil will leak from a vehicle and end up in the retention pond is not existing. Am I correct?
That would be under my impression. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would relieve the, the concern that,
Yeah.
chemicals and paint and stuff like that, that's completely separate system. So just clarification. Otherwise, I have no issue with the development.
If I just might on that point,
Uh,
the concern
Mr. Haley?
is spills outside, thank you. Everything inside the facility would be contained and ultimately go to sanitary sewer, but the stormwater vehicles leaking on the pavement, that has the potential to get mixed with the
outside ones.
stormwater, correct? So just so we're
But
clear
it
on
could
that.
happen to any parking lot too.
Could be. I think the concern is that there's a higher propensity of having that sort of a thing with the car dealership, but engineers just gonna have to keep your eyes on that one.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that a stormwater pond is for quality and quantity. So it's supposed to help the quality of the water and the quantity of the release of the water.
Yield? Okay, so I live at 7787 South North Cape Road, exactly 1 mile south, because living there for over 50 years, when we were kids, we go to the Woodcrest Mart up the road from pointing at the gentleman that's on Woodcrest, if he knows why that road was named Woodcrest Mart 100 years ago. And how it looks now is better than it's ever looked. Okay, so what's going on there now when you look at Gerovax, that used to be, the big, I mean, it's everything looks great now. And then you have to look at what's the best use. Do we have anybody pounding on the door to do anything in that corridor at all? There was a gentleman that has that business on the corner of North Cape and Rawson. That's now a business office, which was the former Party Store for you people that have lived in Franklin forever. It was called the Party Store. And now it's really cleaning up nice. And, there was a point where E-Lightners was just to the north of your property. That was a small engine repair place, and that's where we took our mini bikes and tore around the area, and it was just crazy. So I guess when I look at and I listen to my neighbors, I also have a well, I'm looking at, for sure, with the light issue to make sure there's, just look up at the rock, put the shades down so there's nothing going out there. But I'm really, really, really big on the exterior look. The last thing we want are junk cars, worked on cars, Sanford and Son outside. We don't want that in Franklin. Okay, we don't have a place for that. And we basically have one, we want to make sure that the exterior facade looks really first class. If there's fencing that's got to come up, that's got to, mask, or you put things behind that so it's not just it's really about when you're driving through Franklin, what do you see? And we have that standard. And we have challenges. I mean, there's challenges all over the city with what we want to do, but that's going to be my personal, really big look at what you're going to bring and how it's going to look and what are the neighbors going to see. You know, I know there's not many neighbors directly right there, but what's it going to see? What's it going to portray to our neighborhood? And like I say, I'm 1 mile south, lived there my entire life. I travel it all the time. And I'm glad you're looking to do a business in Franklin. I'm very happy with that. I know the landowner for many, many, many years. And I want something really nice to go in there. And I know it's not a lot coming through, and it could work. It could be good. But all the neighbors' concerns that they brought up are legitimate and they need to be addressed. And the neighbors have been heard, so you know where we're going with this. I'm right up the road. If you're that pissed off, come knock on my door. We'll work it out. So that's what we're going to go for now. And unless you want something to add, we can go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, so I just want to address, because the building is less than 20,000 square feet, I just want to remind you that that's a staff approval for the site plan, it wouldn't go before this commission.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yep.
I caught myself after I said it.
Yep, no problem. And then just for you, Mayor, they will have to meet, architectural standards that we have in the now new UDO requiring nice brick, glazing, things like that. So hopefully that will be addressed in the full site plan application.
I also want to let the neighbors know that that's part of the process, but
Yep.
that's where we're going to be standing, so it doesn't look like just crap.
Yep.
Okay, is there a motion, sir? Or ma'am? No, Mr. City Attorney's flagging me down.
You have to turn on his mic.
Just a reminder with regard to conditional uses. It's been a number of years ago now, 8, 9. But the statute was amended with regard to conditional uses and provides in part, if an applicant for a conditional use permit meets or agrees to meet all of the requirements and conditions specified in the city ordinance or those imposed by the city zoning board, the city shall grant the conditional use permit. Any condition imposed must be related to the purpose of the ordinance and be based on substantial evidence. So discretion with regard to conditional uses, special uses for decades, was limited. Just a reminder.
Commissioner Leon.
City Attorney just mentioned zoning board. I don't think this would have to go before zoning board later. Is that correct?
Not as proposed.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
The plan commission in effect.
Yeah, the zoning board, plan commission. Yep.
Okay, back on track. Motion, please.
A motion to recommend approval of a resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for the approval of a conditional use for a used car sales and automotive repair facility upon property located at 0 West Forest Home Avenue, tax key number 748999000, Carget LLC applicant.
So moved.
I second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
C3, Franklin High School Natural Resource Special Exception, NRSE, for proposed impacts and disturbance of approximately 0.65 acres of wetland, 2.11 acres of wetland buffer, 1.41 acres of wetland setback, and 8.18 acres of woodland to allow for the construction of a building addition, a concession building, parking lot, and drive additions, tennis courts, and soccer field at Franklin High School located at 8222 South 51st Street, tax key number 807-9999-001. Thank you, Mr. Conley. We don't want to go to jail for not having the door open. Just push it tight, hard. There you go. All right, Ms. X, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to present this item on behalf of the city. Planner Nick Fuchs is the reviewer of the application, so I'll do my best to do justice to his review. And then the applicant is present, and they can kind of fill in the gaps in terms of their plans for the site. So the proposed natural resource special exception is for the property that currently has the high school. It is the second NRSE for this property. Related to the growth of the site, and it's a request to impact mature and young woodlands, wetlands, and wetlands buffers. There's also stream, shore buffer, and floodplain on the site, but these are not proposed to be impacted. So the Natural Resource Protection Plan was provided. The majority of the impact is to a woodland here, which is currently under a conservation easement. A copy of that conservation easement has been provided to the commission today at request of the Parks Commission, so that you may be aware that this is a result of the previous NRSE, and they will be requesting to remove the protections over this portion of the property. In addition, there's the wetlands on site. So the area of work is kind of this southeastern portion of the property. So the site plan is not under consideration today. This is just for impacts to natural resources. The applicant is proposing what we're now referring to as compensation for impacts to natural resources. So because the city of Franklin has a conservation-minded ordinance, the applicants are required to compensate for impacts to natural resources. We typically require that on site. Since that's not possible due to the size of the site, one of the requests before the commission this evening is to allow for off-site mitigation, and that is something that would be incorporated into the findings. And this application, it was submitted under the original, the 1998 Unified Development Ordinance. Due to some of the changes to the ordinance, the applicant resubmitted so that it may be evaluated under the new ordinance, which means that you are the deciding body. So there's a document in your packet, which is the standards, findings, and decision previously of the Common Council. It will now be the standards, findings, and decision of the Plan Commission. The Parks Commission reviewed this item twice. So at their June meeting and then this past Monday at their July meeting. I'll share the recommendation shortly, but I want to just kind of walk through. The site contains 16.21 acres of woodland and 1.18 acres will be removed. The on and off site mitigation is proposed for both that woodland and for the wetland and buffer impacts. And the mitigation area is actually, some of it will occur on the site near the floodplain area, and then the proposed off-site mitigation is on a property owned by the school district, which is off of Hilltop Lane, where they propose to put woodland and then a new wetland in an area that is currently mysteriously being farmed. So wetland and wetland buffer plus woodland. So this is the stub end of Hilltop Lane. The lot on the side here is vacant, and then there's residences surrounding it. So the compensation proposed meets the requirements of the ordinance. The site contains 5.58 acres of wetland and 6.46 acres of wetland buffer, and the applicant is proposing to fill 0.65 acres of wetland and impact 2.01 acres of wetland buffer. So as I mentioned, the Parks Commission reviewed this item under the new ordinance. They are the reviewing and recommending body to this, the Plan Commission, and it's their purview since they have review over public space uses and natural resources. So that commission did recommend denial of the application, and I will read the motion as best I can. I might have trouble with the handwriting here. A recommendation to Plan Commission to deny the exception to the NRSC due to the existence of a conservation easement on the area as part of a previous agreement, and to allow mitigation for wetland areas 1 and 2 to allow for the building addition. So effectively, their intent was to allow for, the site plan is not before you this evening, but broadly just canvassing what it's going to be is a building addition here and then play fields and parking, et cetera, here. So what their recommendation proposes is to not alter this conservation easement but to still allow for the building addition so that the school district can meet that aspect of what they're requesting. I will also note, I provided the conservation easement. In addition, there was some information sent to me by Parks Commission members. This is their first NRSC that they've reviewed as the body that they are. And so one of the items you received was information that was shared with the public that Commissioner Seraphin provided to me to share with you about what the proposal looked like when they first saw it. And so, again, they have concerns about that conservation easement. And then I will also note that one of the commissioners, Commissioner Mary Remington, abstained during the vote. And she then contacted me and informed me that she had changed her mind and would recommend not to deny the application. So it would have been correct. So she asked that I share that with the commission since she wasn't able to be here this evening. So the applicant is here and they can talk a little bit more about the purpose of the NRSC and why it's scoped this way. And then I'm happy to answer any questions as best I can. But again, this has been reviewed by another planner, so thank you.
So what we'll do is we'll do the public hearing, please.
Okay. This public hearing is for Thursday, July 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall. The applicant, Andy Cromie of Franklin Public Schools, is here regarding a property at 8222 South 51st Street, zoned I institutional. This is the old zoning, but it previously had FW Floodway District and C1 Conservancy District, tax key 80799999001. The requested special exception to natural resource features provisions is for the purpose of impacting wetland buffer, wetland setback, and woodlands. The applicant proposes a disturbance of approximately 0.65 acres of wetland, 2.01 acres of wetland buffer, 1.41 acres of wetland setback, and 8.18 acres of woodland to allow for the construction of a building addition and site improvements at Franklin High School. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 15-90110, applications for special exception to natural resource features provisions, and Section 15-100208, special exceptions to natural resource features provisions of the City of Franklin UDO, a map showing the property affected in full legal description. The application and all supporting materials are available for review and may be obtained from City Council by way of request to the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall during normal business hours. The public is invited to attend the public hearing and provide input.
Thank you. It's 7:01 p.m. Now open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this item and this item alone, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And we'll try at 3. Good evening, ma'am.
Hello, Denise Driver, living at 812 South 47th Street. I'm looking at this map, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't understand what you're doing in my backyard. I had so many renderings sent to me. I know that you're going to pick out my woods. I'm told you're going to put in a retaining pond, and you're going to put in the tennis court. So if this doesn't tell me what we're voting on, what are we voting on? What is different from what I voted on that's already? So if you look at right there, none of those trees you take down. Now they're all being. And now you're putting in standing pond, I heard. I get so many mixed. I don't know what's going in here. So I feel like we're very confused on what's happening back there.
Okay, we'll answer your stuff after this closes. You're welcome. Anybody else wishing to speak on this item and this item alone? Good evening, Mr. Mickley.
John Mickley, 780. I am off to the left of the map, and one of the things that we face, holy cow, 40 years, is the fact that we have was right in my backyard. In 2008, we were flooded, basement floor. It wasn't the Root River. From the high school. If certain provisions aren't in place right now, we probably see that more. If you guys need pictures, I can bring you pictures of different rain events we've had where the water is coming from across the street, high schools, not from. So all the land impacts that are absorb water, flow water in different directions, divert water, are very important. And I like, I think, look at this and, whether now we're going to see more water. So that's our primary concern. Right now, we're hanging in there, just right. Obviously, hasn't really
Thank you, Mr. Mickley. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Good evening, welcome.
Billy Prochnow, members of all of these people who were just concerned that in the original plans we saw, it was like carved out court and still lots of forest. And now the forest is gone. Soccer building. That here, there's trails back there with forest, wetland.
It's fair enough. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, could you bring it down a little bit closer to you? There you go. Thank you.
Is there some kind of ordinance when trees are undertaken?
Yeah, they'll touch on that when this is all done. Yeah, there is.
And it's in the budget? Those trees are big, old, and one of the reasons I built it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Peterson, 8255 South 47. I, along with all my neighbors, really concerned about this. Everything behind us is going to be gone. And what about our privacy? Is that going to be taken care of, or we're going to get compensated for some privacy stuff? And we were told we're going to have a road going directly behind our house. Tennis courts, pickleball courts, and all this. So I'm just wondering, what's going to happen with this? Are we going to be, why should we sit here and look, have to hear this, look at all the stuff behind us? I moved in 10 years ago just for the reason they built 20 years ago. And so everything is just, what we were told is completely different from what we're seeing. So, this really doesn't depict anything. Well, we're just really concerned about what's happening. We're going to have increased traffic, which is a big concern. We have enough traffic up and down our street right now. And so I don't know, we're just really concerned about this whole thing that's just been thrown in our lap. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, I think it's your turn.
My name is Jack, 7961 South 47th, bottom of the hill. But my concern is you're taking more of the wetland away than they already prior being taken away. What is being done really sure that water mitigation. When there are rains, I can look out my back door and in the wetlands, there will be a river. That was, and it's right higher. And my whole neighborhood has gotten flooded in the last 3 years. I've only lived there 6 water issues in my. And so now we're taking away more of the forest, more of the wetlands, and changing the topography of everything. How is it really being looked at to make sure that none of us get more water that, especially out of the hill? And so that's my concern with moving things. I appreciate that different areas to add wetland forests, but all of us did move into this broad aspect of having that aspect. And I just that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mark Bridges, 8203 South 47. Can I approach the screen here?
You may, Mr. Jajits.
All right, so basically, we all live right in this strip here, which is Fortress of Solitude, got a nice tree. It's nice. We're all enclosed. We don't have to worry about anything. Obviously, the tennis courts are going to go in the parking lot. Is what ordered for it, so it's going to happen. But I think the big thing is, give us some tree line, divide us. Right now, they're talking about bringing it right to that yellow line there. We can just keep chunking those trees there to Solitude, not for tennis courts or the parking lot and such. That's a big thing. More of that tree. And then, I don't know, proposing a pension pond is a little concern. We already have enough mosquitoes back there. Apparently it's going to be standing. So that's another. Okay.
Well done. Full disclosure, Mr. Jajits and I are fraternity brothers, Lambda Chi Alpha Whitewater, but that's just side note. The good old days. Good evening, sir. Welcome. You got the work on.
My name is Brian Witt. I live at 4736 West 4th. I'm at the southeastern portion of where the wetlands are currently located. And a number of years ago, when we built the parking lot, what was then the practice field, they needed a remediation on the wetlands at that point. So one morning I woke up and discovered the place in the backyard. And I'm just wondering how much of this remediation and how much loss of the wetlands will affect us, the city of Franklin in general, and in particular. I said we already have a lot of mosquitoes. But again, around the corner from many of the people here. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on this? Good evening, sir.
Randy Redemption, 694. I basically, I've seen old bags. First of all, that's very confusing. I think we probably seen 4 different sections. So I really think for anything that's moving forward, my neighborhood.
We want more.
Started back in yard.
More.
Personally, I think all the park lot
tennis courts on the northern, which I can tell you never. Right from that northern. Parking lot. I would like to see retail section. Personally, with it.
Thank you, sir.
Can we put up sheet 3?
Um,
I'm Judith Williams Blackie, and during my division capacity, I live at 4901 West Avenue. I am not trying to where the actual arch. So there probably is no immediate impact. I have a couple of comments. One, I'm disappointed there was not more. I understand that may not be committed, but at this point, it's a complete moving target. There is no certainty. What I'm more concerned about is that in 2014, when that referendum went through with the auditorium, this was part of that, is my understanding. Right? This was an agreement made by the school district, these people. And now it's being taken away from them. And that's not fair. But what's also not fair is we don't know what the impact is because it was not part of the study. We don't know if any of their concerns are going to come true. But once those trees are down, they're down. There's no taking that back. I really think the commission needs to think about that before this tremendous of a decision, which apparently they didn't know about. All I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Brenda, 8255 South 47. So I'm along with these first find where all the trees are. I look at this, there's a very long street of affected homes that should have been notified, should have been brought into discussions. I heard other people receive things. This is all I received. A week after, I was verbally told by a neighbor that that was all going to be this. We looked back at a few of our newsletters, didn't see anything. I have to be a detective to find out what's going on behind my home. That's not right. I've been a supporter of the schools since my children were little. I moved here 10 years ago. They didn't attend the schools. They were in their 20s. But I still concentrate on voting yes and supporting the schools in my kids are our future. I found out that my backyard was going to majorly change from the neighborhood here in the last week. July 2nd, this was mailed out. The wetland provision wasn't aware of any of them. But I feel duped. This is very sneaky. Seems like things have changed. They're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Am I going to support a school referendum in the future? The city making decisions? Unlikely. I'll turn into a detective, right? Many animals use these woods. It's a natural buffer. The houses. That's a natural buffer that happens. We have sometimes random children walking through, maybe a couple a year. When that's all ripped down, how many kids are going to be walking through my yard? What kind of security am I going to need to get? Because that's happening. The beautiful backyard that I bought my house with is going to be gone. Somebody spoke about lighting ordinance. My yard lights out from the football field already. Sound ordinances. My yard I hear that every Friday night. But I'm happy because kids are, I'm happy to have some of that. That's fine. It's allowable, right? You understand. Things improve. But if we're constantly getting different changes, and I've heard other people see one thing, another. All I got was this. And now I'm looking at that. That's it. That's all I was able to see. So were we on this street given an opportunity to sit down with with the school and say, this is what we would like to do to improve it for the kids. What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? What could we do to help being your neighbor? Because school is our neighbor, right? I think all of us, we're considerate to our neighbors when we build, do things, make things. We consider them, right? So I really want traffic to be looked at too. There's such speeding on our street, and opening that up with that parking lot, the teachers are gonna tear out school. And I don't blame them, because they've got a rough job. So please, please consider this and take more time. I thought that was said so well. Once those trees are gone, they're gone. That street should be able to sit down and really make a good, sensible plan. The other, that soccer field that's not used, great idea, awesome idea. Can't we can think of some ideas, and we're not 100% opposed. I'm not 100% opposed to them having a good school and being able to beautify it and make it a little bit better for the kids. But could we participate in rectangles? 8.8 woodlands, 8.8 acres of woodlands are going to be gone. That's important. That's important. Please make the right decision. Let's work on this a little bit more before.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome.
My name's Amy Saracen.
Parks and Environment.
It's Parks and Environment. I come from prior to, but I am here as a citizen. I want to point out that presentation to the public prior to voting on the referendum did not include any of these words. I have the photo from the school district on my phone. I did send it at $11 to Marion. That's the plan that was shared with the public before the vote. It's very clear. And so I do think it's not being transparent to say that the public supports this, because this was not what they were presented. They did not get told that the conservation easement that the school superintendent himself signed to save these woods into perpetuity was agreed to. That was not any information, and I think that misrepresenting what people are for. And so, as a citizen, I don't, that's what we want. We're all for education. I don't like being painted as I'm not for education because I don't support tearing down woods protected. And I do find it frustrating. I hope that you look at the conservation easement, that someone can sign that into perpetuity less than 20 years. The same representative wants to just tear it down. It's not. It should be taken seriously. I also think that all of these property owners should not have to feel like the wheels been pulled from eyes. When you purchase your property, you think woodlands are going to remain into perpetuity, and then you're told they're being torn down. You have been duped, and that does affect significant property. You have rights, traffic, works. It is a significant impact. I do think that we can be better at designing this project and meeting the needs of our students without tearing down wood. So I really hope that you everybody's concerns and also look at, because I think the last point I want to make is everyone's saying, oh, the referendum passed, but people didn't know this was part of it. So that's not a fair say people want this. They want to support adding on, and the environmental committee, Parks and Rec, environmental committee, to try to give them the building and the things that we could. But I do think we'll go back to for a little bit more. Okay.
Good evening, sir. Welcome.
David Kemp, 81 from South Florida. When I attended the last meeting that they had public office, I was informed that the main reason they're cutting that whole area so that the construction company would have a place for laydown equipment, material, whatever, and that tennis courts actually won't be built for probably 3. If we can find a better area for laydowns, doesn't have to be clear cut. Then they could go in and strategically remove trees for the tennis court at a later date in the 3, and keeping all for better schools, bring more people, more tax dollars into the city. But going in wholesale, clear cutting that whole area is a little bit on the. I really think they should talk about a soccer field that doesn't get practice field that doesn't get used very much. That more than enough room to lay down. Need to address how we get in there, but I think I can see a couple of different ways to do it. So I just think we need to put a little bit of thought in, not hate this.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time?
Bob Barthel, 8295 South 47. There is a lot of water back there, especially in that top right corner, biggest part of that wetland. I'm on the far. Let me show you my property.
Can you point?
Got a pointer.
Right here.
They don't want to use it. They're anti-pointers.
And I, when I built my house 31 years ago, I left from the property line with the high school to where my grass starts. I left 50 feet of woods. And when it rains, more than a half inch, I'm more than ankle deep in my woods. And that's not even part of the wetland. I think there's more water back there than taken into account. And the people on the bottom of the hill, the lady told you how she flooded and a lot of water when we get heavy rain. And I just had a question for you, ma'am. In your presentation, you mentioned Hilltop Drive. I think I know where Hilltop Drive is. Is that not like a mile south of where we're talking about? What did you say about Hilltop Drive? I kind of missed.
Go ahead.
I missed that whole, I didn't know what you were talking about.
So the applicant is required to provide compensation for these impacts. So they have to plant trees and create wetlands in order to compensate for the impacts that they're proposing. Some of that compensation is proposed to occur off-site at that stub end of Hilltop Drive on a property that they own but do not intend to develop in future. So it'll be happening away from where the school is currently.
Compensate for this woods. You're going to plant trees almost a mile south on Hilltop Drive. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Barthel, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time? Pretty much the whole block is here.
I haven't seen so much detective work between all of these people in the past month. I'm home and they're organizing and getting everything. I love to see it. I agree though with what other people are saying is that you go to the website of the high school, you see one picture, okay, cool. Then you go there another day or something else, and it's further along. So like the girl was saying back there, you haven't really got a great shooter, great shot about what. And I'm not sure if I'm just like geographically like, you know, or whatever, but southeast this, border that, this. I want the homeowners on this entire lot who's getting a clear picture of what's going on, perhaps meeting with them at the high school, thinking about our neighbors, or their neighbors as well, concerns about water. I moved here 7 years ago and didn't really know and understand clay soil, deal with all of this. We actually have a storm drain in our backyard, which is kind of a cool feature, but not so cool when the water drains down the hill and it becomes a torrent of water in my backyard. And getting rid of all this forest, getting rid of all this natural ecosystem that's back there, and have some tennis courts. And we're all for it. We just need to be more involved, getting the neighbors, everybody that's affected by this, instead of having everybody else do Karen Brockovich stuff, figure this out. There's been no
Excellent reference.
no conversation, nothing. We love the high school. It's so interesting that you can hear the touchdown and all the calls and Saber touchdown. Like, we knew what we were getting ourselves into, but we voted for the referendum. I voted yes, let's do it. But the optics, the way this was presented, the way this is all going down, is not really what I'm up for. And I would really like to have more cooperation from everybody else that's involved with it, construction and these laydowns and staging area, things like that, to have some more foresight instead of just, we'll do whatever we want. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't vote for that. And I don't see any sort of progress. Thank you.
I think that almost covers everyone in the room. Anyone else that I didn't catch that wants to speak? I think so. So we will close at 7:31 p.m. So the public hearing is now closed. If you'd like to respond back, because I have things too, but if he wants to start responding back, including Mr. Cromie, but I will speak after we all get going here.
Could we please look at NRPP 3 sheet? That's the one that has the answers. Everybody's asking about what's happening. That's the closest thing to showing what's proposed versus one more.
I did not include all sheets of the application in this in the interest of just clarity. So this is the existing conditions and it does show impacts. So I can pull up the packet though.
To the site plan, that'll help me then point out where things are going.
Yeah, it would have been really nice to have this one because this actually shows what's proposed, where there's pavement, parking, roadways. Instead of just seeing green things that had some trees there, this shows what is actually being proposed to be constructed. And we already know that basically everything.
I'm going to have to find the packet in order to do that and open it up. So I didn't prepare slides with every exhibit. So. Sure, this is, hang on a second. I know, I'm. Say when, Commissioner. It's 100+ pages. This is.
Two more.
Getting close. Right there.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That's it.
And just so people can see it easier, please use this.
I have one.
He's got his own.
I come with my own.
Look at that. Came prepared.
Is it as
Yours,
bright as
Mayor.
that?
No, we can have a laser off.
Oh, it's very, very effective, Mr. Crowley. I like it.
Well done, Mr. Cromie.
So the dark gray is the proposed improvements, and the green is where there'll be remaining vegetation.
Okay, so to keep this thing flowing, keep things moving, and answer the first part of citizens' questions, Mr. Cromie, would you like to start?
Yeah, please. Andy Cromie, Assistant Superintendent with Franklin Public Schools, 8255 West Forest Hill Avenue. A couple of notes first before I address those. So thank you for having us here. We were here on May 22nd. Since that time, we've had 2 additional meetings with the city.
Folks, excuse me. Thank you.
We've had 2 additional meetings with the city. Most recently last week, we've had 5, we call them core team meetings, but essentially architects, C.D. Smith, our general contractor, school district administrators, and the group that is doing the planning. We've had 5 of those since then. Per your request, we've investigated the road, a potential road traveling north-south. Oh, I went out. I might need that laser pointer. There we go.
Look who's got the
Finally
cool
got
laser
to use
now.
I'll take it. We've investigated the north-south road going to Drexel. So we've done that investigation. We have followed up with 3 specific neighbors regarding questions regarding the site. So one of the first things I would like to address is prior to our May 22nd meeting with the Planning Commission, we did hold 2 open listening sessions with community members. So we use the same mailing list that the city uses that was provided to us to provide updates to the process and provide those meeting dates. We didn't have great attendance at those, but we did have attendance. And again, have followed up with 3 neighbors since that time regarding those. It was mentioned we did have a resubmission to regarding the new UDO. That really stems from this project has multiple phases, and so not having a portion in the previous UDO and a portion in the UDO, new UDO, so wrapping it all up in the same UDO. So we're looking at the same requirements for each aspect of the project versus A for project or part 1 and B for part 2. One of the major pieces is that access to Highview Drive. So again, we did investigate the north-south to Drexel, but having an access to Highview Drive is really a large component regarding fire and police in regards to life safety for the building and having multiple access points to the building as this current north or east-west road will be gone as part of the project. So providing, again, police access to the building on both the east and west at a fairly rapid pace is coming from them. So one of the very first questions from our public tonight, and thank you, we do appreciate you coming out to speak. It certainly helps us. One of them was, what is going on here? So again, in the upper portion up here, parking lot, tennis courts, small concession stand with bathrooms. Bathrooms will be required as part of this. And then while this is lined for a soccer field and will be lined for a soccer field, it's really meant as general green space to make up for the green space that is here that will be gone. So to the first one, our second addressee tonight talked about floods, rain, so I'm kind of going to wrap all of that out because we heard that several times. First of all, the city requires, and I believe probably all municipalities at this point require water mitigation to be kept on site of the property. And I think one of the, if we go back to the person before us was talking about water mitigation and retention ponds. So Point of Beginnings, who's our civil engineer, we have a representative here tonight. They work through all of where the water is going to go. So we already have a large existing pond on the west side of our property, right down here. It abuts 51st Street. That still has significant room, so there will be a good portion of additional water routed there. So that will have significant room. The retention pond that will be located up here off of Highview Drive We'll funnel the rest of that to that. But again, all that water will be designed to stay on site and fall into those 2 ponds. So water will not be moving off of site. And again, that's our civil engineer going through all of that work to mitigate those water concerns. A question regarding the ordinance for trees to be replaced. Yes, that's part of the UDO. That was part of the previous UDO. It's part of the new UDO. It comes in a certain ratio. I think it's 0.75 in the new UDO. So 0.75 trees have to be replaced. There are 6 out of every 8. Yes, we do have dollars in the budget for replacing that. Those are part of the things that we considered throughout this process. Sorry, just going through the notes here. Address water mitigation. Tree line will be kept. So we are not allowed to mitigate anything that's not on our property, right? So we can go up to the property line. I don't have the specific tree removal, but we will increase the staking for making sure we know exactly where the property line is versus what is typically done. We'll be marking all trees beforehand before they're cut, so there'll be an opportunity for people to verify we're not trespassing on anyone's property. Additionally, there will be as many mature trees as close to the property that we can keep. We will do that as best we can. I won't guarantee everything will be kept, but we'll do the best we can to keep as many mature trees abutting the property line as we possibly can. In terms of parking at the high school, in terms of laydown for construction, so one of the key concepts that we've worked to really do is provide student safety as much as we physically possibly can. So staging up here helps to keep our students and staff in this particular area, our parent pickup, drop off, our busing, all exactly as it is today, and not commingling construction work, whether that's large trucks, large cranes, or simply construction workers, not commingling them with parents busing with students. So finding a place located not where those people are is the safest place for our students. Now, again, the question came up about tennis courts going in last. Absolutely, they're going to be one of the last things we're going to do because they're going to replace where we're currently going to stage our construction workers. And again, staging our construction workers as safe as possible is one of the things that we take a look at. I'll address the last respondent too as well. We haven't seen any visible signs of progress, and you're 100% right. This is a really complicated project that's taking a long time to plan because there's lots of aspects that we are trying to make sure that we are mitigating at the same time. So while we passed a referendum in November, if we were putting a shovel in the ground in December, we certainly wouldn't be where we are today. We would be trying to answer a lot of questions while we're working, and we're trying to answer a lot of questions before we put the shovel in the ground to help mitigate as many things as possible. A couple of questions regarding transparency. So yep, on day one, we did not anticipate putting a soccer field up there or putting open green space up there. What's a key component in every referendum, and one of the things that we message throughout, is that the exact plans are subject to change. So the referendum question is what people vote on.
Nice.
So what people vote on is the referendum question, and all of the things in the referendum question will be complete. So even the rendering that we had for the building and the specific location of the field house, that has changed based on what's best location in relation to trying to keep the building functional as well, right? We're going to be under a 3-year construction project. Your son's going to be in there, my children are going to be in there when it's going to be under construction, and that still has to function. So there are going to be adjustments. But the key components of the referendum question haven't changed, and those will all be completed. Trying to see what else I might have missed here. So if you just bear with me a moment. The reason for removing trees is not construction laydown, I assure you that. It is to provide as many opportunities as we can for kids. If you're a student at Franklin and you play tennis, we have roughly 50 to 60 of those. You have never played on site. You have never walked out of the high school and played a tennis match, ever. That has not existed. This is an opportunity to do that. It's an opportunity to line these as pickleball courts as well. We know that that's a significant need in the city of Franklin. It will also be a high school sport. I can't tell you when, but I would guess in the next 10 years that is now a secondary that we will be having as a high school sport. In terms of parking, so Approximately 70 spots will be located here. These will be teacher parking. So we will be monitoring exit and entrance onto Highview Drive during the course of the school day. Now, one of the things I talked about at the last planning commission, is it possible a student sneaks out the back? 100%. Is it possible they come in the back in the morning? Yep, we will be monitoring that. There will be consequences for that student up to removing their parking pass, which means they're not driving to school and putting their car in the parking lot anymore. So we anticipate typically 70 people coming in the morning, roughly 70 people leaving in the afternoon during the course of the day. Will there be people after school for tennis matches? Yep. Is it possible a bus shows up there and drops a tennis team off? Yes, it's certainly going to happen. But the traffic will not be inordinate number of cars coming in and out of that particular piece. This will not be an active parking lot during the day. That is designed for post-school. Summertime, it will certainly be used as people do use the tennis courts or pickleball courts or whatever they're using, but it's not active parking during the day. Another component I just wanted to mention, I think I've hit as many of the points as were brought up. I don't know if I've hit them all, but trying to hit as many as I can.
I know Luke was taking notes. Marion may have been.
If there's anything I missed, please let me know. I'll be happy to address.
There was a question about the location of tree compensation, where it's going to occur both on the site and then off-site.
Oh, yeah, I have something regarding that too. So one, this site, so these fields up here, I will tell you they are used. Having coached football for the last 5 or 6 years, we use them every fall, 2, 3, 4 nights a week, depending on when our teams practice. Last year's soccer practice were increased with a new head varsity boys soccer coach, and we were pushing our times all over the place and not being able to practice up there and moving to the baseball field. So that green space is used. Additionally, one of the components we're looking at right here, because we are losing our discus area, is moving discus up here. So having a space to throw discus will remove about half of that field as well from use, right? Because that, once the nets are up for discus, the field is not used for anything else. Additionally, you have to put concrete in the ground to secure those posts, so that field, like, you're not practicing on top of that field either, because you're going to be stepping on those particular pieces. So this field is certainly used. This will also be used. Right now, our freshmen will have nowhere to go this fall, so they'll probably be moving here. For this particular fall, and when this is all done, I would imagine our freshmen are moving up here for football practice. We still have multiple soccer teams that'll be practicing.
If we could go just touch back on where the trees are going exactly.
Yep. So there will be a portion replaced on site. I guess I'll speak.
Do you know at this point or not?
Yeah, this is our representative from Point of Beginning.
So if you just speak into there and say your name and business address, please.
Berg with Point of Beginning, 4941 Kirschling Court, Stevens Point.
Thank you.
So on this particular,
Pointer, if you don't mind using the pointer,
oh
please.
sure, probably easier.
Look at that.
So in the darker green area, those are the areas where on-site tree mitigation will occur, up in that northwest corner of the property.
Hey, everyone.
Not where you're taking the trees out.
Hold on. Hold on, folks. Go ahead, sir. You got the floor.
Sure. And then if you could go to the hilltop slide.
We will never kick you out.
You're not putting trees where you take the trees up in the.
All right, get out of here.
Thank you.
So on the Hilltop Drive, Hilltop property, southeast corner here will be infilled with newly planted trees. And then on the north end of the property, there will be a combination of tree mitigation and wetland mitigation.
Okay. Hold on. So what we do is we normally, we don't do this. That's why we do this part. So but we are trying to respect you and answer as much as we can, because this is a very hot topic. So if you can answer basically, how'd you come up with this is where to go with the trees?
Yep, I'll be happy to address that. So on our current site, we only have so much land available for that. We plan to, again, do some work with the southeast corner so that now becomes unusable in terms of planting trees, right? So what would be the northwest corner has space available for that to mitigate on site. In order to meet the requirements of the tree mitigation, it has to move off site because again, we don't have any other space on the site. We are essentially maximizing it to the best we can to provide the opportunities for our kids. One of the things I would really like to mention is the more co-curriculars that our students do, the higher their attendance record is and the higher their GPA is, including 1.0 higher for a student that participates in 3 co-curriculars, whether that's robotics club to sports and playing football on a Friday night. So providing as many opportunities as we can increases the performance of our students and increases the performance of the students we put out into the community.
Sir, did you have anything to add to where the trees are?
Nope.
Just
Unless
don't
there was
leave
any
my-
further question.
Mr. City Attorney, if somebody could turn his button on.
With regard to the map of the site, earlier I heard that there will be trees not on the school property, but adjacent to the school property that are currently there that will be left. Right there. How many trees are there? How, is it 5 feet wide, 20 feet wide?
Yeah, I don't know that specific question. Do you know that?
I don't think
specific
I have
question?
the answer to that either.
Yeah. It's certainly not touching anybody's property, so we're not removing trees on anybody's property.
Okay.
We are staying within our property.
So folks, what we're going to do is we're going to let the gentleman explain, okay? Public hearing is closed, and I'm going to add some things, and we are adding things up here that are going to give some clarification to how this forward if I was a neighbor living next to that development. So for right now, Mr. Crome, you still have the floor.
Yep, I don't have the specific dimensions of how far the tree will be off. But in order to fit the soccer field in, we don't anticipate encroaching past that. But fitting that particular green space size in will be a key component in order to make sure that we have the green space necessary for all of the things we do through PE, through extracurriculars after school.
Okay, Marion, do you have any more on this? Start asking, you have members of the commission, they're gonna start asking questions?
I do not.
Okay, my pointer, please leave it there, microphone. All right, Mr. Leone, you want to start?
Thank you, Mayor. I have lots of things to cover, so I'll probably yield a couple times in here and other questions. I do want to start, as usual. We've gotten a great presentation from Assistant Superintendent Cromie at separate meetings unrelated to this project. He's been asked a lot of tough questions. Watch him every time, take notes, address those. I think you have a good partner in Assistant Superintendent Cromie, so thank you for that. Had several conversations publicly asking elected officials from the school board to be here. And I want to thank School Board President Sprague for being here tonight. Obviously, Mr. Cromie is going to be the one to answer the detailed questions along with the consultant, but you do have a representative here from the school board listening to all these questions, concerns, and as the head of that elected body, giving guidance to the superintendent of schools and the assistant superintendent. So thank you, President Sprague, for being here tonight as well to listen to concerns of neighbors. I attended a couple of the, actually I think just one in person before the referendum. The things that Mr. Cromie talked about tonight, it's probably not going to be popular to hear, but it did. These were subject to change, right? That these plans at that point were not finalized and that these types of changes could come about. As I look at the map that was provided, or not the map, the rendering that was provided from that referendum, while there are changes, this does seem consistent with the overall referendum, in my opinion. I know several of you disagree, and I can respect that. Regarding the fields to the, I'm going to say to the east of the property, there's 2 of them, having 3 children in the school systems, 2 of whom practice not only football, but lacrosse and I have seen other activities out there like soccer, and there's probably some other activities that are missing. Those fields are used. I frequently go there when my kids are practicing on other fields, like the football field or elsewhere, and I'll go running and walking in that area. Those fields are used quite a bit from my perspective. So those are some of the initial points I wanted to make. Couple of questions. I'm going to go a little bit out of order here, at least from my own notes. For the Parks and Environmental Commission, there was a comment made, Ms. X, that you were contacted afterwards that the commissioner who abstained said that they would have voted in favor of it. Would that have impacted the recommendation from Parks and Environmental Commission, or would it still have recommended denial even if that commissioner had voted in favor?
It would have failed the motion to deny, and they would have had to take up a separate motion to approve, or otherwise a new motion. So I don't know what the outcome would have been, but the motion to deny would have failed.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know from the city attorney if that would be something we would look to go back to Parks and Environment. I imagine not. But anyway, just thought popped into my head. To Mr. Cromie and probably the consultant as well, if this were denied, would this remain a viable project, or what impacts would happen if you weren't able to go forward with this plan?
So if we were not able to go forward with this plan, obviously we have to relocate tennis courts. Tennis courts are part of specifically laid out in the referendum question, which means we're probably placing tennis courts over in the existing green space, which means we probably lose almost all of our green space outside, except for the main competition field and the two existing softball and baseball fields.
Again, a little bit out of order, at least in my own notes, and I think Mr. Cromie actually discussed it at some length, but there was a question from a neighbor about, do we need another parking lot? So separate from how you answered it in regards to separating the construction traffic from student and teacher traffic, in terms of use of these facilities and parking at the school, do we need another parking lot to support this? And how can you quantify that, like in terms of what you're going to see people coming in? Why this parking lot, if it's your opinion that it is needed, kind of why?
Yep. So again, tennis courts located up here do require a parking lot on site because of where those are located. So that is a requirement. The parking lot that is back here, where we anticipate moving 70 teachers, that is not a requirement. But we're trying to separate as much as possible, again, our student body and staff from a parking standpoint, and provide as much parking. But we do know with a larger field house, which is located within this, we do know that our youth groups are going to run tournaments. They're going to run events there. Our high school wrestling, our high school volleyball has already talked about utilizing it. And we will be filling our front parking lot potentially on weekends for those events, bringing people into our community to partake in our facilities and do whatever it is they do in the community when they come. So additional parking, again, needed here specifically because of location of tennis courts, but facilities will be utilized, and it'll be a great opportunity to bring people into Franklin that don't normally come.
Thank you. Tennis right now, I think the high school plays at the Village Club in Greendale, right?
Correct.
And so, along with other aspects of this plan, some of these spaces could be used by, I don't want to say contracted, but it could be used for other groups coming in to have tournaments like pickleball or tennis or whatever, to
Correct.
be more of a draw outside of just the high school team using it for practice and
Correct.
So in theory, greater usage, maybe even some revenue for the district?
Potentially some revenue, but I would think one of the larger things that we have talked about is how do we provide access for our community as well. And so some of our indoor facilities will have access. Certainly tennis courts are going to provide access. The road from Highview coming down to the high school will have a sidewalk on it, so providing a safer walking access for students. But really, we want community to use our facilities, whether that be our kids who are in school or our groups who are associated with it, to John Q. Public coming in to utilize the facilities as well. So that John Q. Public, yeah, and Jane Q. Public. You're welcome. But the community is paying for the facilities, right? We went to referendum, we asked for the community to pay for it. So we feel that it is still the communities, and we have to provide that access to it while safely mitigating that for our students during the course of the school day, as any school district would do. But we want to provide that public access.
Thank you, Mr. Cromie. To the consultant, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. But some of the privacy concerns that came up, is there work that can be done for additional screening or something to deflect either sound that's coming off the pavement or view, like whether they're taller bushes or hedges or whatever? Are there other, can the plans change again? I know I've heard quite a bit, the plans have changed several times already, to address some of the privacy concerns that it brought up on this property, not factoring in for trees that are already on the neighbor's properties that you're not going to touch, but things that you can do to mitigate some of those privacy concerns.
Yeah, we can certainly look at ways that we could landscape that edge. I think from a grading standpoint, keeping the existing trees would be difficult, if not, out of the question, but replanting some more screening edge along those property would be something that we could take a look at.
And not being a civil engineer, even like fencing with screen fencing, like so the exterior had slats or something like that. I don't know if that's a good option.
Certainly one possibility, yes.
So, obviously add some cost right in there, but if there's a way to address some of those privacy concerns, I think that could be helpful going forward. I think I probably have some other questions, but I'll yield for now, Mayor.
Alderwoman Day, then Alderman Sluse.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to start in a little bit of a different area. So I understand a lot of what was said this evening with regard to the referendum and what does and does not have to happen with regard to how the vote took place. But it's not the city's fault or purview to make the referendum things happen. That's kind of a you problem. That's not an us problem. So I'm looking at this in front of me as if it was any other project coming in front of me for this type of exception. So I'm taking the referendum completely out of this. So what was voted on as being approved or not approved, I don't actually care about that part. So I'm going to just look at this as a plan that would be in front of me for any other project. So my first question with regard to the 8 acres of woodlands that is being removed, has there been any studies done on if there's any sort of protected species in there, whether that be wildlife or vegetation?
Yes, both have been evaluated, and a blue stem goldenrod survey was completed, and no species was found.
Okay, thank you. That was my first question. My next question, and Mr. Cromie, I know we've talked about this at some of the past meetings that you've been here with regard to the access point on Highview Drive. So I understand completely the desire from a public safety perspective for fire and EMS to have another access point to the school, especially with as many people as we have coming in and out of there, especially with the improvements going on. However, there are areas and other developments and buildings and whatnot that have those access points, but they're not public access points. They're built, they're developed so fire and EMS can get in, but they're not used in turn for the public to keep coming back and forth, or people who live there, or staff, or whatnot. So I'm curious if that was looked at all, because I do have some concerns about some of the traffic coming out there. and these aren't in any particular order, but you mentioned when the school year comes in, obviously this project is going to be ongoing for several years, and that the construction traffic will still need to come in and out and to try to be as least disruptive to students and parent drop-off and busing and whatnot. They would be accessing that point back there. So would that be construction vehicles as well? So like dump trucks and, heavy equipment and whatnot coming in on those city streets that it might not be designed to handle that kind of weight and traffic?
Yeah, great question. So construction traffic, worker traffic, yes, approximately 50, maybe on the most heavy day, potentially 100 cars coming in. Dump trucks, cranes, all that stuff, that will come in the front.
Okay.
So that will be, again, that's going to contaminate with students and staff, right, crossing that. So we'll make sure we mitigate that. But heavy equipment, those types of things will be coming off of 51st from Ryan. And that's based on a direct conversation with the city and best, I guess, access, although like if you're on 51st and Putes right now, like you hate it at 5 o'clock at nighttime. So we'll do our best that we can with that. But again, we'll not be coming up through 47.
Yeah, and I think our DPW thanks you for that because, we have many, many roads that are in need of repair. So unnecessarily tearing up other ones is not going to be great. So then again, going back to that access point on Highview Drive for staff and for potentially the tennis tournaments and parking and whatnot. And you talk about this will alleviate traffic having to use the 51st Street side. However, we just spent, meaning the city and the school district, a lot of money to put up a stoplight for, essentially at the time, 10 houses. That was the whole purpose for those 10 houses that are there for those kiddos to cross the street. But it seems like having a controlled intersection would help with extra traffic for these events. So again, I'm not sure that having that access point back there when we do have a controlled intersection already in place that could potentially handle some of this with looping the traffic around. So again, for the neighbors back there, I think I understand what you're saying and that you're going to try to monitor it. I just think it's going to turn into the Wild West back there with people coming in and out, especially when you have those areas. And I'm happy to hear that you leave those courts open for public use because as a former member of the Parks Commission, I know how tight we are for finding tennis and pickleball courts. So I appreciate that. But that traffic is going to be nonstop then 7 days a week for the people who live over there. So I think that part I'm still struggling to come to terms with. And again, it's not part of, and I said I wasn't going to bring it up, but it's not part of the referendum. So it's not technically required to be finished by your team and the adjustments. Trying to see. And then my other point goes back to the mitigation for the woodlands and the wetland. So you're taking part from here and putting it on the northwest corner and the rest are going off-site. And I notice that we are now following the new UDO for that, which conveniently reduces the number of the ratio of mitigation from 1.25 to 0.75 per tree. So it's actually less that you get to replace. So, I mean, that concerns me as well, just because of the sheer volume. I mean, if it was, 10 trees, 20 trees kind of thing, but the sheer volume of 8 acres,
Sure.
and now it's less than 1. I mean, I understand that's what the UDO is now, but it's just,
So can I make one comment regarding that? So throughout this process, we knew submitting those plans, we knew the UDO was in process. Through the process of developing our plans and putting in our initial submittal and working with the city, we were advised to structure it based off the new UDO. Even though that wasn't technically in place, but our construction would start under that. So that's what we were advised to. So we ultimately developed that. Then there became some inconsistencies between the first phase and the second phase. So to help eliminate that, our only recourse was to reapply. And it fell under the new UDO to get the whole project in. So while I understand that's where we've been working on based on our conversations with the city from the get-go.
but you mentioned that you had budgeted for the mitigation. Did you budget for it at the higher percentage, the 1.25 to 1, or did you budget for the 0.75?
I'll be honest with you when I tell you I did. That's coming from our general contractor.
Okay.
Who's holding a dollar amount for that. So I don't know what they specifically budgeted for. I just know we are holding dollars that
Sure.
account for what they're saying are going to be in the plans.
Okay, thank you. And then I think my last question, I fully vet that I am not a civil engineer nor anything near it, or do I pretend to be? But I do know there was a lot of concern about runoff from the homes that are behind this with the trees being removed. And you mentioned that the plan is to have that potential runoff collect in the new pond that you're building as well as the existing one up off of 51st. So the plan then is you're going to grade it so that it all slopes back this way?
I'm going to leave
means
that to Jim.
Now it seems like a lot of people in every direction are having runoff issues. So, I mean, it seems to me a tall order to get everything to slope back this way when everybody in every direction has spoken tonight has runoff issues.
Yeah, so it'll be a combination of grading and storm sewer conveyance to the pond, which, arguably will improve the situation there to direct that water to the pond, control the rate, treat the surface runoff, and then discharge it, at a controlled rate per ordinance requirements, local and state.
So for clarification, Jim, that means there will be drain tile added as part of this project to help control that and grading. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then I would just one last thing, I apologize. I would just echo what Commissioner Leon had brought up about some sort of additional mitigation for those neighbors that are now losing all of the buffer for lack of, for sound, for sight lines, all of those things that now don't have beautiful, tall trees that they're looking at, that they're basically going to be looking at a parking lot and athletic fields, that there's something that can be left there to help to mitigate them for the lots that they bought. With that, I'll yield for now.
Alderman Salus.
I need to point to.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thank you.
I'm helping you.
Thank you.
Recover your
Right.
property.
Well, it's the city's best $9 ever spent.
Okay, thank you guys for being here. I just like for the record, I expressed concern in the past over traffic issues in general and the Highview situation. My concern was the amount of traffic existing right now on 51st Street when the school let out in the morning, when there's a major events, games and stuff like that. The school community were kind enough, they held a special meeting with me and to discuss my concerns in details. What I originally expressed concern about is basically I wasn't a great fan of having this Highview Street opened up. The thought I have, let me see, my hand shakes too much. The thought I have is basically have this street wrap around this field and exit to Drexel Avenue. The reason for my request is like to ease the traffic on 51st Street. This way you have two major exits to the school. I met with the fire chief to see if there is any concern for the fire department of what I have been proposed. He said to me, as long as you're not exiting right next to my station, if you are a little bit further away, that would be fine. So the response I got from the school committee that this is going to be a little bit costly, and they did not discuss the reasons for that, rejecting that proposal in details, but the school community decided to do away with that and rely on the Highview Street as an exit. I am concerned about how the proximity of the soccer field to the lot line. Like, what is the distance between the field and the lot line? What are we talking about? Is it like 50 feet?
I don't have the exact measurement, but I would estimate based on the scale of the drawing about 30 feet.
Because, you know, if we want to, you know, to be reasonable, those neighbors that who live, you know, to the east and, you know, south of that lot line, we have to do something, whether we have to create a berm with the landscaping, fencing, we have to mitigate, you know, because they'll be subject to the noise, to the light, to the, you know, aside from losing the privacy of the backyard of their homes, you know, we don't want to be every meeting that we have people coming complaining about lights and noise and all these kind of issues. I'm just like wondering if if we give it a little bit more thought to see if we can relocate that tennis court to a different area and save the woodland as much as we possibly could. And please give it another consideration to see if we can do something about access to Drexel Avenue. The traffic study is extremely important in a situation like this. You're talking about 1,000 vehicles in and out the school, aside if there is like a game or major event taking place. Having all these cars dumped into 51st might be an issue down the road. I'm just like, basically, I presented the concerns in the past, and I'm just like presenting them again. But at the same time, we're not here to block the school expansion. We just want to make sure that the school is happy and the neighbors is satisfied as well. Thank you.
Just to address one concern, there would be no additional traffic at the site other than during construction. The same amount of students, the same amount of staff will be present during the school day. The only relocation would be approximately 70 staff members exiting out Highview versus onto 51st Street. But the amount of kids is going to stay relatively the same for a period of time, and the number of staff will stay relatively the same for a period of
There's
time.
a traffic issue as we're speaking, and this addition, I'm very sure, is going to attract more students to join the school. You're adding like 150 net gain of 150,000 square feet of living space. So, like, I believe that they are demoing 100 and adding, like, basically, there's a net gain of 150,000 square feet of space. So I'm more likely to assume that there will be additional traffic coming in and out the school. As I mentioned last time when I asked how many parking spots you have, I think the answer was about 850. That's what so, I'm just like saying this is a major expansion. It's a major project, and having this, don't take it from me. I'm just like basically expend $10,000-$15,000 on a traffic analysis to see how the situation would be down the road. I'm also concerned the more development taking place to the south of the school, the 51st Street will be busier. We've seen a lot of activities taking place at the industrial park, and we don't want to create a traffic jam. And for in case of emergency, and even the fire chief mentioned that, he's saying adding additional access point will be great in case of emergency. God forbid we need emergency vehicle need to access. I get it that High Point would serve as the emergency access, but the Drexel Avenue will serve us a lot more than that. It'll serve us traffic-wise and the emergency as well. And it could serve with the parking situation, like if you have a longer street and allows some kind of a parking, like along the street, you might be able to do away with these 70 spots that you're trying to create in the back in there, by just having people park on the street that you're creating to Drexel Avenue. Just the thoughts, I hope you consider that. That's all I need. Thank you so much. I yield.
Commissioner Haley?
Well, I agree with Alderwoman Day that the issue before us is the site plan. It's actually the natural resource exception that we're looking at. So the decision to make this all happen and pay for it one day, that's neither here nor there. But that's where I really have the concerns. I mean, I think we heard from the neighbors that a lot of this is a surprise to them, and they have concerns about what's going to happen. So my first concern, and I think you addressed it, but I'm going to put you on the spot again. No construction traffic on the east side except contractors. No deliveries, no.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Contractors driving their car to site.
Area, they're gonna be able to offload everything in front and bring it around to the back side.
Correct. Have you think contract workers parking in the back, contract deliveries, dump trucks, site removal or site mitigation removal, that'll all take place off of 51st Street.
Okay, but I did think I heard that it was also gonna be a lay-down area during construction.
There will be a laydown area, but
Trails
that's
need to get there,
correct.
the trucks that place.
That'll,
Okay, just for the record.
yep.
Okay. Mitigation. You were before us once before, about 10 years ago. That's what led us to this point of actually creating the conservation easement. And now we're talking about just ignoring all of that. So just never mind that comment. Technically, what happens with the conservation easement? There's been one recorded. Is the intention that that would just be re-recorded with a new legal description? Are you suggesting that it get torn up and thrown away? Because the school district made promises that it was going to protect these resources and not impact them. To which I would also say that, long-range planning, you should have been thinking about that. Now, 10 years later, we've got to come in and wipe everything off the site. So, that's just a failure in planning. If I know you didn't have the money yet, but that's what you think about is where these things are going to go and what the program would be, what else is going to be out there. Enough of that lecture. That said,
He got a better clap. Just saying.
So I would like an answer to the conservation easement question. Is it envisioned that we're just going to re-record the same document with different legal descriptions, or is it all going away? Because it should still prevail on all the rest of the site. You made commitments there and then, and what you're asking for is to pull some of that away.
So the request is the modification of the conservation easement to allow for the southeast corner to have development in it, not removal of the conservation easement that exists in other locations.
Correct. But in order for that conservation easement to be valid, you're going to need new legal descriptions that basically exclude those areas.
So our intention would then be to rewrite that description within it. So not to vacate the entire piece.
Okay. That's important. Then I'm having heartburn with the mitigation site. I thought I heard that, this is property that the school already owns. Why does it own it? Is this for a future school expansion? And not that, again, that's
I don't
not
mean to
the
chuckle,
issue.
sorry.
But I look at the plan and you're showing mitigation. And if there's any development planned for this in the future, you're going to have to traipse through everything that you did. Again, undo that mitigation to get on the site. It's all wetlands up along the street there, unless you're bringing something in. So you're vexing yourself by you've got property, and I'm just assuming that it has a future destination. And you need to be real careful about where you designate conservation easement areas. So we wouldn't be in this situation right now if that forethought had happened there. And moving it out here, I don't know what that does for anything. It gives you a place to plant trees. Does it fit in with the proposed future usage of it? Is this going to be a school? Maybe we should be thinking about where wetlands and woodlands would want to be relative to that future use. But just saying we got a different spot to put it.
Yeah, I'll be happy to address that. So first of all, I don't know how we got to 21 acres. We've held it for a while. Again, I don't know how. We've investigated that as a potential school site as part of this investigation. Given its current location, the existing streets that are adjacent to it do not provide a school site adequate today. There would have to be some significant city structure added to that for a school site. So we do not anticipate that being a school site. Now, will I sit up here and tell you in 100 years from now, someone's not going to make that a school site? I will never tell you that. In my mind, everything is subject to change at some point down the road. And so I won't tell you that, but I can tell you that without significant city improvement, that site cannot be a school location. It already has 18 acres of it are wooded and wetland already of 21. So there would have to be significant mitigation to that site. Approximately a quarter mile south of there, we own 220 acres, which would be much more suitable to place a school because the vast majority of it is already open, and we've already investigated that site and are preparing long-term, thinking long-term future, that becomes a future school site at the elementary level.
So we're not considering that for mitigation? I'm trying to understand, you've got this piece of property here. You had it for some other reason, but now you're going to use it for mitigation.
We have considered
Ongoing maintenance, there's teeth to the agreement. You know, you got to make these trees grow, the wetlands stay happy and healthy. And it's a parcel that I'm hearing will probably never be used for its purpose. Maybe it belongs back on the market.
Yeah, we're not interested in selling it. At this point, again, I won't be here forever, so I'm not going to say that at some point down the road that comes back, but we are not interested in selling it. We're not interested in doing anything with it. In terms of the 220 acres and utilizing that as a mitigation site, our concern right now is if we start putting things on there and we have not entirely laid out that site, because while we've investigated and can fit those schools, we're spending our time on the current referendum. That is a future project. So we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves now by placing things where that might be the best location for the school without going through that entire process. And so we're trying to, again, avoid those steps. So in the future, we're not sitting back here going, well, we moved this over to 220 acres and now we need a school to go on that particular corner because that's the best corner or whatever have you.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's all about planning. But having to do all this mitigation out here and the maintenance, this isn't something you just plant a tree and walk away. There's requirements for making them grow and thrive and dealing with the wetlands and invasive plants. And I guess I'm just reluctant to create a blight, if you will, that this parcel's going to sit there and never be utilized for anything, and we'll be calling it a mitigation site, because the whole intention of the mitigation is to do a meaningful replacement or augmentation of the resource that we're trying to protect. And basically, you're asking us to clear cut what's left of the school site.
So duly noted, we'll make sure our buildings and grounds director is aware. Well, he already is, but continues to be aware of that.
And it comes at a cost. That's it.
Mr. Shago?
I guess the thing that sticks in my mind is what you said to the previous applicant from Carget, is it's always extremely important to whoever comes before us, get along with the neighbors and their project. And I think we failed in that. And I know you've had open hearings. I know there's been invitation to hearings, but.
Show of hands, who of my neighbors?
Ma'am. We'll get to that. I haven't gone yet.
So I think that's something we need to improve on. I think especially in this situation, this is a huge situation. You're probably going to be impacting, I'd see easily 100 homeowners in that area that pay a lot of money in property taxes to live in Franklin. And I think this project is going to impact them in a way that's probably going to be negative. So I take a look at it. I think that's a lot of natural resources to really compromise, to put in tennis courts and soccer courts. And I had two kids who went to the school system. One played soccer and one was a tennis player. And I can remember hauling them all over to get to their games and their matches. And they both went through school. They were very successful people, have great jobs. So I think it's something you need to get with these folks, find a happy medium of some kind, and then provide us with a really effective plan.
I'm going to go, then we'll go back to round two. How about that? Okay? So, folks, we've got Mr. Sprague, our school board president, here today. Mr. Sprague, I want to put you on the spot. When is the next school board meeting?
The next school board meeting is August
13th.
13th. Thank you. So, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Cromie, I wanted to
No
put the
problem.
pressure off of you for a minute.
Well, he paused for a moment, so.
He did. He was kind of unsure for the president of the school board. All right, so August 13th. Is that what you said? Yes. Mr. Cromie, I'll go back to you. What time is it?
6 p.m.
So it's 6 p.m., August 13th. And where is the school board meetings, where are they located?
8255 West Forest Hill Avenue.
Great. So I fielded many calls, emails about why am I doing this to them? Why am I leading this terrible project down this rabbit hole? why am I in the city of Franklin electeds? This is not the city of Franklin elected alders and mayor project. This is an elected body that starts with the school board over there with Mr. Sprague. And I've attended these school board meetings where they've had updates. And I'm only assuming that August 13th, there'll be another update. Don't know what the agenda is for August 13th, but what I'm saying is I've gone to them and I sit there and I've seen very, very well explained plans. And that is where you need to really be directing your energy, your angst, your questions, your everything, because that's the governing body. Yeah, we're going to be looking at plans and other things that are affected, but that's where the driving force and factor is right there at that school board meeting. Because you're going to see everybody there, especially with the updates. I mean, I think the last one I was at, the engineers were there. There's a whole slew of people that are controlling and driving this project. So I would absolutely 100% encourage you to attend these school board meetings. And that's where you also have an opportunity to be heard, ask questions, ask follow-ups. Now, they do a different system with the card system. We're just get up to the mic and talk. There they have a different decorum. But that's where the effective point starts. Things come to us to make adjustments, to make requests for different things, but this referendum passed, it's moving forward, and how do you want to influence it moving forward in the future? That's how you've got it. So for this point, I'll yield to Mr. Leon.
Alderwoman Day was before me.
Sorry, for clarification, the meeting on the 13th will be the annual budget hearing, public hearing. It's 6 o'clock. The regular school board meeting will follow that at 7 o'clock.
So they came at, thank you, Mr. Sprague. So you're going to yield, okay, Alderwoman Day, then Mr. Leon, how about that?
I need the magic pointer.
I don't need the pointer when I go.
I have one, but the battery died, so.
That's cool.
I know. I don't know how to work your magic pointer.
Oh, you got to press the star, the lower, right in the middle.
Oh, no. All right, so going back to my question before, so when we were talking about the construction traffic, and so we've got the contractors and the workers coming in here, but you mentioned that the heavy equipment will be coming in, I'm assuming, one of the entrance points down here, probably the one right here, right? To come around?
No, because we'll have a straight shot here.
So they'll come in here and then go around back this way?
I'm pretty sure that's where it is located. They won't sneak to the back. It'll be offloaded
Okay,
the front. And I believe that is the entrance.
sure.
But it'll be offloaded in the front, trucks rerouted back out to 51st.
Okay, great. All right, so going back to what I was referring to before, so if this point here were cut in, sure, but if it was made just for emergency access, what is preventing you from altering to having the traffic coming in here, as it does sometimes, looping around the side and coming back? You can still have your parking lot here for faculty, but they come in around that way. And you had mentioned that the tennis courts wouldn't be used, or the parking in the courts wouldn't be used unless there was a match or a game or something along those lines. So I'm still stuck on using this all the time, I guess, is my one of my main sticking points. And the other one, now that I'm looking at side by side the existing rendering of what we have for fields right now versus the proposed plan, why did the soccer field move? So it was here.
Those both still exist. What we're
So-
losing is this green space right here that is used for physical education practices. So we have 3 existing now.
So you're
And
moving.
The plan would be to still maintain that 3 because those are used.
So during the day, you need all 3? Because if it's for if it's for Phi Ed, I guess where I'm confused, if it's for FIAD, that's during the day. It's not after school for practice or games or anything like that. So I guess I'm struggling with why you need a third one. Do you use all three during the day right now?
Specifically, I do not know. I know
Okay.
we use all three after school.
His that could be also, if that field, if the soccer field could be not made over there, you could reconfigure that tennis area that allows you to keep more of the trees in that area, and not have quite as much taken out. Like I said, there's two things in here that just don't really make sense to me in the big picture of it. And I agree with Alderman Salus, we're not here to stomp on a referendum that passed or prohibit this from moving forward, but we're here to try to make this plan make sense for the neighbors, for the city, for the conservation of wetlands and woodlands that have been there for a very long time. And those 2 points is where I'm having the most difficulty right now with what's in front of me. Thanks.
Yep. So we've addressed or discussed a couple of potential mitigation points for that back road. We'd like to start least restrictive, and if we have issues, then mitigate those issues versus starting with mitigation, we might not ever have a problem. So that's the task we're taking, but we've looked at a couple of points where we could restrict that to still allow teachers in the back or totally cut it off. But again, our purview would be to start and see if we could mitigate it up front. And if we have to mitigate, we certainly have considered that, and we have potential locations for those already, not necessarily designed to be implemented immediately, but we have those places for them.
Are you yielding?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Leon, bring it home.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's try to put the school board president on the spot as well. Mr. Sprague, would you consider?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind coming up.
You flip-flop with the gentleman here in the blue.
Would you consider holding a special school board meeting to address this topic, to give and to have the different planners involved in the school district's planning so that these neighbors would be able to come to that meeting, use your card system, and I am familiar with what the mayor is referring to. I don't know what your legal requirements are for announcing a special meeting and what the timeline is it, but since your next meeting is going to address budget, it wouldn't necessarily talk about this topic. Do you think it's a possibility to have a special meeting on this topic for the school board so that residents can address your body about this matter?
It certainly is possible. I will tell you that that there are two meetings that night because one is our annual meeting. So the first one we'll be talking about budget, and it is a public hearing. The meeting at 7 o'clock, it's possible that there could be an agenda item to discuss this. I will say that there have been a lot of questions tonight and talk about transparency, and this has been a 2-year process, and a facility study was done. We went to referendum. There have been numerous opportunities for public to ask questions, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be more, or that I don't want any more questions. I'm saying that I have not seen a lack of transparency. I would also, I don't know, Commissioner Haley had asked a question about, or had talked about the 2014 signing of the Conservancy. Nobody in the current administration was here for that. There are 2 board members that are still left. So I can't speak very much to whether that was there. What I can tell you is that during the facility study that we did in advance of the referendum, there was debate on whether the 200 acres that on 92nd Street would be used for a new school, for a new high school. And the reason that it was fairly quickly shot down was because this referendum is going to touch 6 of the 7 schools in the school district, and it's going to cost $145 million. A new high school would cost about $250 million on the new site, plus the roughly $20 million that's being spent on the 5 elementary schools as part of this referendum. And there is no perfect solution to this site. This is as big as the site is. But this solution saves the taxpayers $100 million roughly. And I think that's important to consider. We're neighbors here. We don't want to cut down all the trees in Franklin. We want to keep, we've done significant work as a school district, as a teaching site. And for instance, we've done a lot of work at the Conservancy. One of our teachers won an award for his work, an ecology teacher, won an award for his work there for a teaching organization. We think it's important that we teach kids to be good stewards of the land. So at any rate, that was a long answer.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Mr. Sprague. I know you were looking to touch on several other topics, so I would ask you to consider, whether it's a special meeting or at the other meeting, publicly noticed, encouraging neighbors on 47th Street and other locations to attend, to be a part of that process. Mr. Cromie made the point earlier that there are always going to be changes. That's the only constant in life is changes, right? But those changes facilitate questions, right? And so there are going to continue to be questions. And those changes more directly impact the neighbors to 47th Street than the majority of the community. You know, I agree with the statement that the overall use of this is very good for Franklin. We're looking for ways to partner with the neighbors and mitigate their concerns. So I'm going to prep you. I am going to suggest the idea of tabling this item. I know that that's probably not ideal for your planning process, but to allow more questions to be addressed, more mitigation to be attempted. I don't know that that will be the answer, but just something to consider. But before the idea of potentially tabling this item for tonight, a couple other alternatives. Alderwoman Day talked about some mitigation to the soccer field, but separate project a couple years ago to do with pickleball courts north of your property by Countrydale. What's the grade school?
Pleasant View.
Pleasant View. A reduction in tennis courts. You know, I don't know what is planned in there to come up with, I'm counting, 10 tennis courts, but could conceivably offset some of the parking, certainly some tennis courts, and maybe some reconfiguration. So maybe that's already been considered. Maybe this was the minimum number in the project, but if there's a way to reduce that impact, to save some of the trees that provide that screening and other aspects. So just ask you to consider that. fully acknowledge that Alderman Luce is an engineer, and I'm not. But when he was discussing a road running north-south that would be immediately east of Sullivan Stadium, having been back there, I would think that there would be significant wetland impact. We're already talking, that's the wettest area there. I mean, at the driest time of the year, you can see standing water over there. I've run on that trail back there and had to go around. It's so wet. So I imagine that the wetland impact to that space could be a limiting factor toward putting a road in there beyond fire station access, emergency concerns, beyond proximity to 51st and Drexel and traffic flow there. I don't know, right? And if you want to touch on it some more, Mr. Cromie, please feel free. But that's a very wet area. I would think that that would be a very difficult challenge to put a road there. And then also safety concerns about driving there that close to where people gather.
Yep. So there's two additional components. East of Sullivan Stadium, up until about where this field grade is. So somewhere between here, there's an approximate 20-foot difference in elevation. So that's one consideration. There's a navigable waterway. I don't know exactly where it is, but there is a navigable waterway in there that would also have to be mitigated. All of these checked areas are wetlands. So if we take that through, at some point, like we'd be traversing wetlands almost the entire way. So those are really the three major considerations. But you do bring out proximity to fire station, proximity to roundabout, and cutting off that particular piece as well. So all of those were factors that were investigated and ultimately led us to not pursue that any further. Again, just given those large considerations.
Thank you, Mr. Cromie. So I guess to the applicant, would it be disruptive to your planning process for the project to table this item until a later date after the school board could have an opportunity to field more questions?
It certainly would be disruptive. We are looking to mobilize at least the demolition crew sometime around August, September, and initially break ground at some point end of September to October. What I would request is to not table it with the understanding that we will follow through with following up with our neighbors and do the best mitigation we can in that particular avenue. I would say we've proven that with the CERC and having had multiple meetings and with our neighbors and did as much mitigation as we could to those particular plans. So I guess I would request not tabling it so we can continue moving forward. And while I realize that this is not the city's problem, it is part of the overall thought process in trying to maintain construction plans. Our largest issue actually sits 3 years from now in the summer of 27. So any time we're starting to delay that really affects that. And that's the demolition and rebuilding of the inside of the school so that it's operable for both the 26-27 school year and 27-28. So those would be some points I would ask you to consider.
Thank you, Mr. Cromie. All that reason just explained, I would not propose table. But I am referring to this great cheat sheet here. So there are neighbors who have already had the opportunity to speak, but clearly have other questions that if we can't table, right, we can't talk about at a later meeting, understanding that you'll have at a school board meeting the opportunity. And I would ask the city attorney to weigh in some point if we can do a conditional approval of this school board taking up this as an agenda item. But before that, I move to suspend the rules to allow neighbors to have another opportunity to ask questions relevant to this agenda item.
Not passed yet, so.
Gotta have a second, folks. I'm trying here.
Slow down, ma'am. Good luck with that, Mark. So we got a motion to suspend. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed?
Now we got to do a roll call for opposed.
Let's do a roll call.
No, aye.
What?
Aye.
Aye
Let him
for
talk.
what?
I'm voting in the affirmative, yes.
Oh, in the
To suspend
affirmative.
the rules.
Excellent. It's unanimous. Ma'am? So now anybody wishing to speak, you've got to come back up to the microphone. You state your name again, address, and 3 minutes max, please. Okay?
Denise Graniger, South 46. I just have a question. So, hear that he's not going. How can we stop trees? Once we take down the trees, there's. So, us as neighbors, how do we, what do we do? That's my question. How do we, is, we can do, or that you as, help us stop them?
Okay, well, I'm going to revert back. I'm going to answer half of the question. That you have to, I implore you to make sure you are contacting your school board elected officials regarding this project. That's your elected voice for this project. That's the first half. I'm going to now defer to either Marion or Luke with where this is at right now and how this, is there, in your estimation, how this could be influenced to save trees or make any other additions. I believe that's the question.
So my understanding of the project is that the next step is for site plan approval, which is not complete yet. However, this body is the deciding body for the standards, findings, and decisions. Essentially, you are the deciding body to allow or disallow those natural resource impacts and to determine the scope of those natural resource impacts, as well as the location of the compensation that's being proposed. So this is kind of where the buck stops in terms of the tree removal. And in terms of the site plan, there might be changes that could occur at that point. But given that the tree removal is part of this approval, it has to comport with the NRSE in order to be completed. So it might be possible to revise the site plan and go through that review process. And if this NRSE allows for a greater amount of tree removal and then the site plan design walks it back, that is something that can be incorporated into that review process. But in terms of what's happening here, your standards, findings, and decision, you can add conditions to it. So there's a number of sort of standard conditions and then additional conditions that kind of modify the proposal.
I guess that was my point, is the revision aspect of this. Yeah, I understand where it's set, I understand our processes, but for the neighbors, if there's any sort of revision or request for revision, communicating that to the school and to this project specifically before it comes up here was my goal to talk about. So is that, how would that look? If I'm that young woman right there, and I want my trees, what does she do right now today?
We're in the meeting.
We're it. So okay,
Yeah.
my question was, could it be brought back to that board meeting on the 13th? Could there be a request for an agenda item on that board meeting on the 13th, where they, the board, and or their engineers could then take a look at that and address the concerns then?
So this commission has that deciding power over allowing the scope, the maximum, but the applicants, again, still have that site plan review process. So you could also propose to do, to separate the items. So there's wetland approvals here and trees. Tree impacts, depending on the scope of them, and again, I'm not the initial reviewer of this application, but under the current development ordinance, the new UDO, tree impacts that are below a certain threshold can remain part of a site plan review as well. So that would then also come back to the Plan Commission because of the scope of the site plan review, but that is not a public hearing item.
Right,
So,
okay.
so there's kind of two places. It's here at the city and then the school district is your option, so.
Thank you. Is it clear as mud?
I'm just begging for your help because I listen to this gentleman and I don't think that
Oh, both these gentlemen are excellent. They do work. Well, we all work very well together. And I understand everybody's passionate. Somehow, we're gonna do something with this. So I'm glad nobody's in a hurry to go home, so just stay there for a minute. And we're going with Alderman Salus and Mr. Haley.
Just like to make sure that the project keep moving forward, can we approve the demo plan? Like none of us, the demoing the part of the existing building has nothing to do with the trees. It has something to do with probably the tennis court or the site plan. So then the most immediate thing that they need to do is to do the demo. What about if we allow the demo and do not touch the trees until we come to some kind of an agreement between the school and the neighbors? Because I trust me, there is alternatives, but we have to put a little bit more muscle to it. So let's do the demo and proceed with the demo right away. And then, I personally do not have any issue with the construction, whatever they're trying to construct, it's all good. The only issue that we are dealing with, parking, exit, all has to do with the site, and they're not going to deal with the site at this point. They need to deal with the demo right away. They have to demo 150,000 square feet of a space, and that's gonna take some time. So the proposal I have is to proceed with the demo while we're discussing the remainder issues.
So that is not the issue before us tonight, though. So the planning commission cannot address that particular
It's not
issue.
on the agenda.
Okay.
So it's not on the agenda. We still have suspended the rules. So we're gonna get Mr. Haley, then the Alderwoman, and ma'am, if you want to speak, you're welcome to speak. And, oh my goodness.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I just want to quickly clarify.
not yet. Mr. Haley?
Thank you. I just wanted to try to ask what I thought was a fairly direct, straightforward question. How can we protect the trees? They are protected right now. They made a commitment 10 years ago not to damage these trees, that they would be there. Now their plans have changed. So that's all we're being asked to do, is to make an exception to the promises that were already made. Those trees are protected right now. The action that happens here or at the council is what's going to determine how many of them are still there in the next 3 years.
Alderman Day?
Two clarifying questions for Ms. X. Could you repeat to us what the motion was that came out of the Parks and Environmental Commission one more time?
The motion that was approved was to deny the application except for wetlands 1 and 2.
That is the gist of it.
Okay. So second clarifying question. If part or all of the exception that's in front of us tonight is denied, you said that this committee is the final deciding body, so it does not go forward to council for a vote. It would just stop here. What happens with the school district? Are they allowed to tweak the plan and reapply again? Or is it like killed? Like, can you just explain to me if a denial happens, what path does the school district have?
They can reapply.
Okay.
They-
And timeline on that,
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna
just
ask
like, yeah,
timeline.
what, so say if it gets denied tonight and tomorrow Mr. Cromie draws up something on a napkin and gives it to you to start over again, what would the timeline be if they gave you something tomorrow to come back through everything?
We typically tell people 60 days for this application type under the new UDO. Given that it wouldn't be a totally new application, I think we could expect it to be a little bit shorter, but we must still allow for the public hearing notice for a hearing at this meeting. So-
Okay, thank you. I want that all to be like open and on the record as everyone's making their, final determination of what we're doing tonight, what the full scope of it is, whether you're voting in the affirmative or whatever. So, thank you.
So seeing no further discussion from here, we will now continue with the suspension of the rules. Just remember, name and address again, please.
Jude Williams, Blackie, 4901 West Foresthill Avenue. So I think as it's already pointed out, the agenda item is whether or not natural resource special exception is going to be granted. And as You are?
Commissioner.
Commissioner Haley, as you already indicated, right now it's protected. So if you vote for the exception, that means it's no longer. So my question for the school is, if this committee votes that it is no longer protected, when are you going to cut all the trees down?
I don't have that specific answer, but it would be sometime this fall. Fall to late fall to early winter would be where most of them are cut down so that we can lay down, again, the stone for the parking. But that final area is meant to be developed spring to summer of 2028
But you're cutting it all down now for the construction, right?
to lay down gravel for our construction workers, correct?
So we've got a fall to winter timeline. You could fall within 60 days to resubmit the plan to cut down the trees.
Correct. I mean, presumably.
Okay. And in terms of the development that you have right now, you have a crane back there already, right? There's a crane by the side of the school already. What does that mean?
Oh, we have roofing projects going on right now, so it is used for that particular project, those particular projects being done.
Okay. Given that timeline, why can't you commit to these individuals that you will go back and come up with that mitigate the number of trees that we lost and still follow your
Because part of our process requires an entire site plan to be presented to both the Planning Commission and the Common Council, and this is part of the entire site plan in order for us to get permits to do that work.
And in terms of what's going to happen next, if you vote that this was going forward, exception granted, are you the final say or does it go to the commission, go to the entire city council, common council? This is it right here. This is it right here. So if you don't let it play out for 60 days, that means you are deciding that all the trees are going to protect the town. Is that right?
It could be, Counselor, you sound like an attorney.
You know I'm an attorney.
It could be, but you're right, it could be.
And if you grant that exception, there is nothing preventing them.
Correct.
The attorney.
It's important to note that the current plan does not remove all of the trees.
Right. Mr. City Attorney, you've got the floor, then we have another gentleman and another woman coming up.
It's an existing conservation easement, have to be amended. And that would require common council approval.
Sir, good evening, you got the floor.
Good evening, Brian Witt, 4736 West Forest Hill Avenue. Something that came up in the discussion was runoff into the big pond next to the high school. I'm the president of the homeowners association, directly south of I have right here. And I'm just wondering, with the addition of asphalt and other ceiling projects, how much is that going to add to the level of retention pond that we had at the end of our subdivision? As it is right now during heavy rains, that thing getting up the sidewalk area.
So are you referencing this pond over here?
For 51st and
Yeah. So we are, again, required to keep all water runoff from our projects on our site. So there shouldn't be any water projects from our site. So as our representative from Point of Beginnings brought up, there will be significant grading over here to get things to run into this pond, including drainage tiles. And there will be additional work up here to make sure that this is heading down to the pond that exists on 51st currently.
I also would like to point out that there is a stormwater management plan that will be approved by the city and MMSD.
thank you for that. The other one is the replacement trees. What sort of trees are you looking to replace with? I mean, the lodgepole pines that were planted along the barrier previous to this grow up and extend. You don't really get any kind of blocking from that you can see right through. That's, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Cromie.
Yeah, I'm looking for, Jim, do you know what kind of trees they're planning to put there?
Mr. Mr. Sprague, don't go anywhere.
Nice try.
Welcome to my world.
So here's a total list of what would be proposed in the mitigation. It would be 78 4-inch caliper canopy trees, 191 2.5-inch caliper canopy trees, 762 5-foot tall canopy tree whips, 229 5-foot tall understory tree whips, and 229 12-inch tall shrubs will be planted within the proposed mitigation areas.
So again, it's this heavy green areas will be located with the mitigation areas, and then the existing 3 acres on Hilltop.
So it's not even on the map.
No, so we need,
So the rest of the trees are going.
There will be additional plantings along here, but this is the mitigation area.
Okay, so this is the first time we've seen it.
So we'll actually double and triple suspend the rules. If you wish to speak again, ma'am, please come to the podium.
And I apologize. So I just off a bunch of, but they're not going where, can you, that's why I was asking, to show on the map where those trees are actually going. They're not going.
So again, they're going here. Well, if we're mitigating the area that we're removing the trees from, there wouldn't be a necessary reason to remove the trees. So, but there will be additional added components existing along the property line to help with the separation between the school district and property owners.
Again, don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's the first time we saw that. Unless the trees were going on Hilltop, which is not even.
The mitigation area is going on Hilltop. So there's a difference between mitigation and providing some screening, shrubbery, trees along that edge.
And what kind of stuff would you put there?
I've known you 35 years, and I know you,
I was telling her to her. She couldn't-
recent retiree from UPS.
Offhand, I don't know exactly what type of shrubbery will go there, but it would be similar to what Jim had listed off. There's a requirement that trees have to be so high within 2 years. I don't know what the specific requirement is, but meeting that requirement as part of the UDO.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, welcome back.
Curious if the traffic has been done for the highway. Very dangerous situation, and I really appreciate serious about it. Heard various things throughout the meeting today. Maybe the parking lot, and maybe on the weekends for the field house, use it, maybe there's buses in there. Really got to speedway.
So I'll address that a little bit further to provide some clarifying points. So we have not done a traffic study. Again, the intention for morning school is to have our 70 staff, it's 70-ish staff members park here, exit onto Highview, out on the 47th, both AM and PM. From the standpoint of a large event happening at the school on the weekend, there is no backside access to the facility. We have access to it, but there is no point of entry to the backside of the facility. So if you're coming to use the field house, which would be located here, that point of access is still located pretty close to where it is today. So if a person were to park back here to attend that basketball game on the weekend, they are traversing all the way around that building to get to there. Fair point, except there will be no access to walk around the building unless they want to walk through all the wetlands to get to that particular side. So while there is exit doors here that are required for emergency exit, they are not points of entry.
It would be a greater for the
Thank you, sir.
I don't get
What about you? Good evening, sir. Welcome back.
I know it's very important to go to school board meetings, into meetings, but ultimately, I pay taxes. So, that being said, I asked the taxing body to keep the conservancy. I think that's what the
Fair enough. Just so you know, of your tax bill, and I love saying this because I say it about 1,000 times, 44% of your tax bill goes to the schools. 24% goes to the city. So we are a strong partnership. We are a strong partnership, but there's a lot going on with how projects get done. I know, we got 25 cough drops there, and that's how come I don't get COVID. All right. Good evening and welcome back.
I'll be quick. Billy Prochnow, 82. I have two. Excited about this project, voted for it. I've been paying close attention, and the reason I haven't done for any reason out because it looked very, very, and I was okay with the way it looked. I was okay with losing some of the wood for a tennis court. But then suddenly, a month ago, it drastically, I know it's subject to drastic change. Suddenly, forest all the way up to our, and for all of the reasons that everyone's talked about, that's
Mr. Mickley,
Oh, wow, that pointer's getting a lot of use tonight.
remember, don't run with it.
You're gonna need more than just one.
Oh, I got like 10 of them, $9 a piece, best deal ever.
There's no going back now on the pointer.
Middle.
Star.
trees.
So we're gonna start with, John, in all this chaos, did you say your name and address again?
Oh, sorry, John Micklig, 809 Stonebrook Court.
Thank you, sir.
Right down here. So one of the things that, we're talking about trees, and trees are not the same depending on where they are. These people know. They've got a wall of trees over there that is wonderful. They go here, and down there, here. These trees are substantial and vital. Now, what we're saying is, hey, we're gonna take these, we're gonna put them here. And if you've watched this road every day, like I have, this little clearing here, getting a lot of accidents. So trees would be beautiful, wonderful, great, but you're gonna lose a few. I've watched it. It hasn't happened to me yet, knock on whatever this is.
For Mike.
But this clearing is there for a very good reason. These people coming through here, these people coming through here. I don't think just because, hey, we got a triangle here, let's trees, that should be the solution. Putting these trees somewhere else, but much less here.
Tennis court.
It's not a solution.
Done.
Oh, I really want a Coke.
Seraphin, 951 South.
Is that Mike on?
I just wanted to point out,
Let's go.
it was brought up about ratio of student performance when they have access outdoor activity recreation. These woods are used by outdoor club currently, cross country use them. And for a fact, one of the science teachers does teach this class out. So those are compatible uses for this area that do also enhance.
June, this woman is correct. First time that the plan that included all of this, which was so drastic, came out to the public, was just published. And so it is a lot to in as such. I think that's what we're seeing here tonight. It's not that we're opposed to supporting what we supported in the voting referendum. It's the areas that we're trying to look at, and we're just asking the school board to rethink, be more imaginative, take a little more time to say what is mature woodland in a concert. Each tree in this mature woodland is going to be replaced one tree, 0.75. And it's not going to be a mature tree. It's going to be 0.75 new tree that is going to be much smaller. Which is what the ordinance says. So it's following the rules, but it's not really in the spirit of a 2014 signature by to agree to protect areas into perpetuity. And then I did want to just also, if this goes back to the drawing board, the special exception, one of the things that I really think we should look at, or would like the board to look at, is the mitigation area, which is another point of contention. The Ryan Road, this location, I think Mr. Comey said was around 200 acres.
Yeah.
A lot of that is floodplain that you'll never ever be allowed to build in, even if you do want to develop a school. And mitigation in that floodplain would be much more meaningful to the natural resources that this has. And instead of putting it on the hilltop site, currently a farm field, that someone is farming knowingly or unknowingly to the school board, planting trees there versus enhancing an existing floodplain with mitigation would be much more meaningful to the citizens and the natural resource environment, the bugs, everybody. Just be so much better. Whether or not the Environmental Commission, I do have to say, Robert's rules do not allow what was brought up about somebody, our Mary calling in and changing the vote. That's not allowed. It should
Right.
not have been brought up here.
Yeah.
Mr. City Attorney, I hope that you, and so once it's brought up, it's out. But you
It
know,
changes nothing, ma'am. It's not
it
admissible.
changes, and I also think too, everybody has to understand that doesn't mean that if that was voted down, he still, as a commission, would have had to come to some other motion and agreement that could have looked like no one here knows, nor do I, because it didn't happen. So we have to go with the existing vote.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right, man, bring it home. Thunder and fire and be done.
Brett Peterson, 8255 South 47. So, a couple of questions. I would like to see the list of addresses that were provided to people for those invites that were supposedly set out. I would like to see that. I think that we're entitled to see who received those. I would like to know when the site plan review is. I would like to know, were there discussions with DNR at all, too? Or do they have nothing to say in all this? I don't know about anybody else, but my employer, you're gonna be landlocked, doesn't continue to spend money in a place that won't be able to continue to grow, because now you're done, right? And I'm not an engineer, I work with a lot of them. You're right. We should have been at the school board meeting. I'm responsible for that. I am. You're right. I don't have young children in the school anymore, but I support them. I want them to be good. They mean a heck of a lot in our city. A heck of a lot. But I'm going to start going. I'm going to be a detective. To be there. I'm start coming here more often because I need to know what I'm paying for. gonna ask you, I appreciate all your comments, all your questions, pushing the limits. But one thing you are responsible for is our city making the right decision. So we are taxpayers. My property value are gonna go down now. 10%. Our tax is gonna go down, but you're responsible for what happens. So we're responsible to go to the school to find out what they're doing. But I also think they have a responsibility to their direct neighbors, not a random list. If I'm on that list, I didn't receive the 2 letters or the invites, so, but I'd like to see if I was on there and see who was actually. I would appreciate it. So I agree with the gentleman in the green hat there, voting that. Pause, like, please pause this for a short time. We're all willing to work. I don't think anyone says, say no 100%. We're willing to work with you. We're just asking for our input so that we come to a, thank you.
Okay, oh,
You charge rent.
that's what everybody keeps saying. Yes, you were.
Name and address.
In the middle? I know, everybody slow down, we're all good. Name and address, please. But see how they come at me like that? Now Luke's gotta bring us back up. It's all crazy.
I'd again like to echo her comments. We're not-
Amen, Ed.
Oh, sorry, John Prochnow, 8229 South 47th Street, Lovely Neighbors, 47th Street. I agree, it's already a speed zone before and after school. That's a whole different conversation. We're already talking about adding more hot rods down this lane too, and hanging out at the tennis courts, and who knows what's going on. Just want to draw your attention. I've lived here for over 7 years. This tree line back here where the cross-country team runs, the sun has ran past there too. Unless it's the driest of dry summer, it always will. 1000%. I know you were talking about that before. This is a soccer field. Watch a lot of soccer. They don't like it when it's wet. Talking about building a soccer field on what's a supposed wetland. So I'm not an engineer. I don't know what studies have been done. All I know is I don't like playing on wet turf. So this is all right here, a giant question mark for me. I don't want this to be wasted space. It looked like it was just kind of like, oh, let's put it right there. So that's kind of concerning to me. I think more like another gentleman said his kids went there and they played soccer and tennis and they went to an outside. Life goes on. Question about the parking lot, who's going to use it? That's one question I have. Another question is, you have this little drainage pond here, cool. We're talking about that itself, but then we're also talking about water coming from over here, this giant area flowing past the high school is a giant structure down here. So I guess, again, I'm not an engineer, but how does water get from here over to there and down to here? That's a big question mark for me. And I have a storm drain right here. All of this water comes down the hill. This is a giant hill. All of these people right here. But this right here, when it rains heavily, we have students parking right here. But all of this gets flooded out. So I implore everyone here to dot their I's and cross their T's when it comes to flood management. We dealt with water up here. I feel sorry for my neighbors down here with pipes going into the street and having all of this problem. We have water almost every year. Thank you.
All right, seeing no one else, we'll make a motion to go back to regular order of business.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So now, with this being said, we'll do final comments. Again, plan commissioners, Mr. Leone.
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully a couple easy yes/no questions. President Sprague, is FPS a separate taxing authority here?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So, I mean, yeah, that's an important point. The mayor made it. They are a separate tax authority. City collects your taxes, but the referendum was a tax that was proposed by the school district, right?
Yes.
One of the neighbors had comments about trees going into the northwest corner, the roundabout, to staff. The applicant would have to comply with vision triangle standards so that it would not impact traffic there, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. And let's face it, the vast majority of the mitigation's been addressed several times. It's off-site. It's at Hillview, right? So that's just a small portion of it, but it should not, by design, would not impact the traffic there. Mr. Cromie, the parking, the 70 spots that is to the east of the building, you mentioned faculty. Would those be assigned spots to individual teachers so there isn't sort of a rush for whoever gets there first? Or would it truly be whatever faculty gets there first so that conceivably, if you didn't have it assigned, like, you know, this teacher is in park stall number 17, people going in and out creating more traffic so would those be assigned stalls?
We do not assign staff stalls. Is it something we could take a look at? Certainly we could take a look at to address that, but we currently do not staff that. Our staff comes somewhere between 6 and 7 o'clock. So we have 120-ish members who come anywhere over the course of an hour.
Sure.
So significant traffic is not happening between 6 and 7. I mean, it's 120 cars, but there's not a ton of
I would
traffic.
just ask to consider that as mitigation for the increased traffic. If you could have, in that lot alone, assigned spots so that you wouldn't have people turning around and exiting because they can't find a spot to park there.
So they wouldn't have to turn around and exit. It does loop around the building. We want to entirely eliminate students traveling around the building, but that road will have to exist from fire police around the building in order to access certain points from life safety. But we can certainly look into assigning staff back there or having some sort of process for who parks back there and who does not.
Okay, yeah, just to mitigate the traffic. Thank you. I'm going to revisit. I still think tabling this item should be a valid consideration. No, it's not ideal for the project. Sounds like there's not a lot of time in there to including the site plan process, but I think that it would allow an opportunity for staff, the school district staff, along with the consultant, to have the meeting in August, and whether it's a special meeting on the same date or another time, and address the concerns of neighbors, specifically to the trees that are a significant concern to those neighbors east of the proposed tennis courts and soccer field, so that we could potentially move forward with this sooner than if it were to be denied tonight and then restarting. So I know not ideal, just something to consider, that tabling might be the shortest path to moving forward on this. With that, I yield. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Day?
Sure. So I would be amenable to the tabling piece if a motion were to be made on it. I will say, if the motion is to accept the plan as it is before me, I'll be perfectly honest, my answer is no. I have my sticking points, you know what they are. It's the access point on Highview. I truly believe that should be emergency only. You admitted just 5 minutes ago that there is a road that goes around that will meet that parking lot. So I feel like if you want 70 staff members to park back there to open parking space up, or if you want that parking lot to be used for the tennis, there is a way to and from that does not involve people kicking out on that road and onto 47th Street. We talked about the soccer field, and if you truly need all 3 of those green spaces moving forward, if you don't need all 3 of those during the day, I don't really see a need to move the soccer field, which would then allow you to maybe reconfigure the tennis court area to save some of the trees. And the point that was brought up, I would actually like some thought into the mitigation to the Ryan Road site. It does sound like that might be a more beneficial use of of that mitigation if it has to be off-site for the city as a whole. So those are my 3 sticking points right now. As I said, I'd be amenable to tabling it for further discussions between the school district and the neighbors. But right now, my vote would be no with what's in front of me. Thank you.
So if we were to table, perhaps looking at the plan commission meeting would be, if I'm correct, Ms. X,
Make a special meeting.
be maybe Thursday, the 21st. Is that right? Yeah. Thursday, the 21st would be the second plan commission meeting in August. Would that give enough time to get information back from the 13th? I think you would with 9 days. So I think the smart thing, which could have been done an hour and a half ago, would be to table this till that second plan commission meeting in August, providing the information come back, a revised plan come back to us for review. As the counselor said, or unrevised, which I wouldn't see why you would ever do that, but, so, would that be your motion to table till the 21st?
Were there no other comments from the commission? Okay, then, yes, I,
Hold on, Marion?
I'd like to make some recommendations about the scope of tabling it, because if you table it with no direction to the applicant, then they could potentially return with no information, and it
Well,
will help
if
you
they
craft
would do
conditions.
that after the last 2 hours of what we heard, then they shouldn't have their positions.
Sure,
They're
I
very-
concur.
They know exactly what's going on.
But to encapsulate some of the discussion this evening, there's a significant concern about the removal of mature trees,
Yes.
screening and privacy. The access point, which is not part of the scope of the NRSC, but is something that can continue to be part of the discussion. However, it's not part of the scope and cannot be a condition of the NRSC. And just the location of mitigation, the comments about potentially placing it on Ryan Road, there are locations at that site that are isolated within the floodplain and cannot be used for development without significant permitting. So I think that's appropriate to consider. So I would suggest some of those provisos as a potential motion.
And Mr., well,
I think I've got it for the motion.
feel strong?
Yes.
Bring it.
Okay, so then, considering Ms. X's input, I move that we table this agenda item until the August 21st meeting with the understanding that the applicant will work with neighbors to mitigate the removal of mature trees on site to the east of the current proposed tennis courts and soccer field, as well as the both on-site and off-site mitigation of trees to consider where to best place those, and the access route going in to work with the neighbors to mitigate the traffic considerations. I think I covered everything.
Well, let me ask you this on this one part, to work with the neighbors to resolve traffic mitigation. How would you do that? I mean, I understand there's like probably a traffic analysis, maybe that was done. I don't know, but I don't know how you would go about doing that part of this motion. I mean, Mr. Cromie, since you're going to be doing the heavy lifting, are you clear with what the motion is?
Essentially work with the neighbors to help mitigate the site, figure out where the on-site, off-site is located. As well, I would share concerns with mitigating traffic,
Right.
because a road is a road.
I can
Like,
drop
they're
that
not-
condition.
Why, you do what you want, but I would suggest you drop that one condition, and
Dropped.
then your motion is strong.
Okay, city attorney, I think has something.
I will acknowledge him when I'm ready. Mr. City Attorney.
I don't believe any stated conditions with regard to.
Button, please.
Are necessary, because they have all been discussed and there's no guarantee as to what will return. If you state conditions, you might miss 1, 3, or 5. So it's as discussed at the meeting, there's an understanding of what all the raised issues are. So just
Including but not limited to what you just said.
put the matter over to the August 21 meeting for review of what occurred at the school board meeting with the adjoining area property owners and the results of communications between the school district and the adjoining property owners, where are the results, or whatever the results are.
I'm amenable to the changes proposed by the city attorney to my motion.
Good, that's the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
First and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks, too. Thank you. Oh, but we're not over yet. Please stay.
You have to stay.
We only have another hour to go, so please.
I'm almost out of paper.
Just a pizza back.
All right, D as in David, citizen comment period regarding business matters set forth moving forward. All right, please keep it down. We still have a meeting going on. E as in Edward, business matters. Number 1, Rock Ventures LLC site plan amendment. Request to allow 2 container structures as concession stands at Franklin Field Stadium located at 7035 South Ballpark Drive. Who's taking this?
I am.
Mary, next, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request for a site plan amendment for The Rock. They are asking to have 2 concession stands added to their site on existing paving, so this won't be changing the amount of impervious surface or really impacting the landscaping in any way. They're adjacent to existing structures, concession stands made out of shipping containers, similar to other features on their site. A second. It's the proposed structures are 20 by 8 feet and will be used for food and beverage sales, and staff is recommending approval of the application.
Staff recommends approval. Excellent. Is it Mr. Leon and Alderwoman Day?
Did I miss D1? Did citizen comment period happen?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go back to D1. Citizen comment period. Anybody here wishing to speak? As there D as in David 1, once, twice? No citizen comment period. Now, ahead, move ahead. All right.
Staff is recommending approval.
Staff is recommending approval. Comments from the commission?
Thank you. Yeah, this will be fast, Mr. Connolly. So I just want, for further clarification, just because this was rather vague, and if you don't know the exact answer right now, that's fine. What, do you have a proposed use for these? You say food and beverage sale. What food and beverage? And where I'm going with this is if these need to have electricity, plumbing, all of that run to them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
State your name and business address for the record, please.
Chris Conley, 7044 South Ballpark Drive.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we didn't want to put the cart before the horse and do any of the, plumbing or electrical before we got anything approved. But in talks with Angie and Jamie, our plan is to do like prepackaged food. So from my understanding is, sure, we'll have electrical, but plumbing isn't necessary.
Okay.
If it's
Yeah, I would just caution you to be forward-thinking with these if you think, because I don't know if you're familiar with what happened to the outfield concession when it first came in, and it was not to code, and they had to basically recut and reconfigure it, and it had to be closed for a good chunk of the first season. So I would just caution you, if you think in the future that you might need it for an actual like concession stand where you're selling, food that you're making on site in those, to maybe think about at least like roughing the plumbing or something, and just so that you have it, because it was quite the predicament and cost to go back in time. So that's just my word to the wise of living that last time when it was done a little bit incorrectly.
in just, I guess, for the record, these containers came from another ballpark where they were already plumbed with.
Oh, nice. So they're,
sinks in
they're
them.
already cut in
So
with.
basically, yeah, it's just, the container's there, it has everything inside of it, it's just
Great.
not connected anywhere.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion for this?
A motion to adopt a resolution amending the site plan for the Franklin Field Stadium located at 7035 South Ballpark Drive to allow for the construction of 2 container structures for concession stands use. Tax key number 744100300, Rock Ventures LLC applicant, BPC County Land LLC property owner.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you for staying.
Can I just ask a quick, so does that go to common council then? Or that, so that's that? We're good to go?
Unload them and put them to
Staff
work.
will follow up with you next week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for staying late, sir. E is Edward number 2, Carmel Laboratories, Inc. Sign review request for a second monument sign on the South 76th Street frontage of Carmel Labs, located at 9410 South 76th Street. Who's taking this?
I am. Thank you, Mayor. So the applicant, Carmel Labs, is requesting to have an additional monument sign. By right, they are allowed to have one. The sign that they're proposing complies with the ordinance in all of the general and specific ways that it should, but the request to have 2 is something that is the purview of this commission. So the location of the sign is, it's a little bit more than 500 feet to the north of where their main entrance is, and it would look like this. Staff is recommending approval.
Staff recommends approval. Excellent. Discussion? Is there a motion, please? And who took my pointer?
It might be on the stand still. A motion to adopt a resolution approving a second monument sign for the 76th Street frontage of Carmel Labs, 9410 South 76, Alex Scheller, Carmel Laboratories applicant.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have
Who was
it.
the second?
Shago, I think.
Shadow.
Motion carries.
Sorry, Alex.
If I can get that information for you, though, at some point. Oh, absolutely. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, 9:40 PM. Thank you.
You too.
Marion, when the lights are off, I have a question.